All right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We're back today. We're playing a new game called Fragged Kingdom 2. If you followed our channel before, you know that we've played some Fragged games before. We played Fragged Empire 2. We played a little Ragtag. And now we're going to dive into Fragged Kingdom, which is coming to BackerKit in just a couple days from when we're recording this. So June 3rd. If you check out the links below, if you're watching this on YouTube later, you will find a link to the BackerKit. You can see if it's something that you want to back. But we're going to kind of test it out, see what's up with it, see if it's something we like too. So this is a fantasy version, even though if you're familiar with the Fragged Empire universe, it's all kind of set within the same universe. But this particular flavor is a fantasy setting, but it's got a lot of like techno magic flavored into it. So a lot of science fiction or sort of blended in with the fantasy itself. It's set specifically on a planet called Acheron. Which is kind of isolated in some ways. And if you really know like all the Fragged lore and stuff like that, if you know about the galactic wars, the archons and stuff like that, you know that like there is all sorts of things with like mechanids and things, this big old galactic war. But for this game, we focus on this one planet. And it's a planet, like according to like if you're looking at the backer kit right now, it's a planet that's focused on fantasy, but it's a lot of techno magic. There's all sorts of new gods and species that have been emerging, that are reshaping things. And most of the game, the default sort of setting presumption of the game is around a kingdom of ire. And it's sort of got a aging Hercules type demigod king that's been in power for like about 75 years. And it's very diverse. It's multicultural. And you're going to see a lot of the same species that you might have seen across different games here and there. It's a game that's a lot about exploration. It's a lot of like nature versus civilization. And so the idea of trying to reclaim nature or beat back nature or nature beat back civilization, that sort of thing. And what's kind of interesting is if you dig into the setting book, you can see like not only is it going to give you all sorts of information about this particular planet, but it's also going to give you these little truths. And these truths kind of tie back to the larger Fragged Empire setting. So in our group here, everyone but Steven is familiar with the larger Frag setting. And so we know things about the Zao, we know things about Nephilim, we know things about mechanids and such. But in Acheron, the very people don't really know or use those same types of terms, but you're going to see them come up and come into play here and there throughout the larger game itself. So like some of the gods are like Palantor MVPs, and like Zao show up and Nephilim show up. The species that Maitre is playing is actually a variation of Nephilim, which is pretty cool. So there's all sorts of these little truths that are hidden along the way in the setting book, and you can kind of tap into them or don't tap into them however much you want. Rules wise, it's we're gonna work through it. Some of us are familiar with the basic mechanics from playing Fragged Empire. There's a lot of similarities there, but this game's probably a little bit more melee focused. I think that's what I'm noticing, and we'll kind of see how it goes. And there's a cool camp mechanic. I don't think we're going to be able to tap into it, but we'll see how it goes. So in the sci-fi setting for Fragged, you get a spaceship, and in the fantasy setting, you get a camp. And so over the course of the game, you can start investing some of your resources to help build the camp and get all these different effects and things like that, which is pretty cool. We're going to be playing. So I already mentioned before, we're playing in what's called the Kingdom of Ire. In terms of like the timeline, there's a big, rich history. So for people who really like lore, there's lots of stuff there that you can dig into. But for us, the current time is now Kingdom of Ire. It's kind of a new kingdom. It's been around for like 75 years or so. There's a big war not too long ago. Very culturally diverse, split into houses and things like that. Baronies, duchies, stuff like that. There is like a rival sort of kingdom of Katla, which is like the remnants of a much more powerful Katlan dynasty that had existed for a very long time. And then a really big thing that happened about 200 years ago was this like war with this archdruid, which essentially like weaponized nature and just started beating back civilization. And so in the present day, what we're effectively doing is we're essentially going out into these wild, unclaimed land, these territories that were essentially taken over, and we're trying to reclaim them. And so there's something of like a land race between some of the kingdoms and the houses and such. So let's see what we're going to do just really quick before we get started. I figure let's do an actual hello. We'll meet all the players. tell us about who you're playing, just kind of like, whatever it is that you've read on your character sheet. Obviously, we're playing some pre-mades. So tell us a little about, if you know something about the species, great. If not, I can kind of fill in some gaps for you too. So let's see. We're going to start with Jeremy. So Jeremy, who are you playing?
I'll be playing Gaius Dragon, who is a Legion Knight. Shocking that I would play a Legion again when given the chance. They were specifically engineered for war, and they're amazing. And apparently, a Legion Knight can just chop everything within 2 spaces of them because they are blenders on legs.
Yeah, like they are very much like you remember from Fragged Empire. They're the big warrior race. Like they're specifically in this universe, they're created by the goddess Ath. And the goal is like to protect civilization and things like that. And while that still exists, like there's still warriors and guards and protectors and even laborers. Like some of them have like ventured southward because the Legion are really like they're really adept and resistant to cold. And so some like the southern tundras they started to occupy, and like they do raiding and things like that as well. So it's pretty fun. And they're huge. They're big. They're bulky in there. And then when you put armor on them, they get even bigger and bulkier. That's terrifying.
It's crazy.
Absolutely terrifying. Okay. Melissa, who are you playing?
So I am playing Esther Law. So I'm playing a Kaltoran Technomage. So very cool on both fronts. So the cool thing with Kaltoran is that they get sort of this ancestral memory. So that kind of idea that, Kaltorans can kind of remember their ancestors. And so they have kind of all of that memory there, which, sometimes can be memory of, kind of bad things that have happened, but it's also something that they can draw from. It was definitely one of the things that I was considering when we played Fragged Empire. And I didn't go this direction, so I was excited to try it this time. And then get to be a technomage. So I've got a divine orb of fire. So I get to do that kind of cool stuff too.
Yes, we were playing around with the math of your divine orb before we started recording. Yeah. I'm wondering if you were doing that math right, because that's a lot of damage you could potentially do. Yeah, so Kaltorans also, they have like the 4 pointed ears, right? They have like the ears that
yes.
stick out and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of them have I think have dreadlocks too. I think dreadlocks is, at least it was in Empire. Like dreadlocks was like a fairly common hairstyle, I think, for them. Very cool.
Yeah, the pre-made's got a cloak up, so kind of fairly covered, but a very cool looking orb for sure.
One of the things that I remember reading about the Kaltorans in this version of the setting is that when they marry, sometimes they marry not for like love, they marry because they want to get compatible ancestral memories. And so it's the idea of just trying to build their bloodlines or their ancestry's skills. And so that's how they pair up, which is kind of interesting and sad. No one gets to yearn. Yeah.
You got to have yearning.
Oh, yeah, got to. Okay, next up, Maitre, tell us a little about who you're playing.
I similarly to Jeremy, I'm playing a high dex range fighter again to support Jeremy's Legion character. I'm playing Selma Crownhorn, a Dracum soldier. And I think you already mentioned the part that I find wildly interesting about them, which is that they are a kind of a Nephilim.
Yeah, they are, exactly. So like Nephilim in the sci-fi setting, right, in the larger Fragged Empire setting, they're like a sort of a genetically created species, and they can do all sorts of these different things, right? And they were kind of created, some of them are like created like sentient munitions that actually just be like weapons themselves or explosives themselves, right? We had one in our game who was a tentacle monster, basically, who was a doctor, and that's Dr. Toronto. That was who he is. He was a doctor, whether you liked it or not. But here, the Dracum or Dracum, they're all, so like the mythology of it all is that they are created by the demigod Linguorum, I think, which is like a dragon, basically. So it's this dragon lineage and such. And so they've been fairly marginalized for a very long time in the lore, but recently, especially within the Kingdom of Ire, like they've started to gain some power and some strength and some respect and such. So very cool. Excellent. You don't get to do. I don't think you get to do all like the fancy like body morphing and stuff that we got to see, and the technical stuff, because you're a dragon. But you are fundamentally a Nephilim. Okay, and then last but certainly not least, we have the newbie to the universe here. We got Steven. Steven, who are you playing?
I am playing Easel, who is a Tolotl aristocrat. I am the wallet and the face of the group, which kind of makes me the de facto leader if you think about it. Which, just suits my personality perfectly. I'm kind of like a goblin type character, is how I'm going by the art. I don't know a lot about Tolotl, but I have a prehensile tail, which functions as a third hand, essentially. I also wear a very tasteful red dress that shows the correct amount of leg, no matter what Melissa says.
Great art.
Also shaming.
Very nice art.
Yeah. Tolotl were in Fragged Empire, but they weren't like a default playable species. Like you could play them with GM permission and such, but they were a race that kind of was essentially like enslaved by the Oni, which were like one of the major villains of the setting. And like they're kind of goblin-y, right? If you want to think about it, but then there actually are goblins in Fragged Kingdom too, which is sort of interesting. Like because they're all like the wild folk. The wild folk is one of the ancestries that you can play as, and that's like a kind of a hodgepodge of like your dryads, your traditional elves, your goblins, those types of things. You can kind of play them as. Other species you can play as the remnant. So the remnant are still here. Remnant are kind of like your anthropomorphic animals. Like a lot of them are, I think cats were the most common, but you can basically be anything that's effectively mammalian, so like bears or dogs or whatever. So those show up. Those are still around. The Twyfar, who that's one of the things Melissa played, which are colorful people. They're very, very colorful, like bright colors, and they also usually have it's kind of like a dual species. Like the Twylinger / Farron, and they have this like sort of alien spirit that they work together, and that's how they can do all their fancy magic and such. So those are the ones, and then there's the Crete, which none of you are playing, which is new. They're a humanoid. They're kind of big-ish, I think, and they're crystalline in some ways. Like over time, they kind of crystallize here and there, which is kind of cool. So those are some of them. So now that that's out of the way, you want to dive in? Ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right. This is going to get ugly. So go ahead and roll for initiative. Just kidding. Okay. Let me get a little music going here. What do I want to do? All right. So here's the hook. Okay. This is just me making it up. So I'm the only one to blame. All right. So here's the hook. You've been hired, all of you. Clearly, it's still Easel. What was your name again? Oh, this one. Easel.
Easel, like the artist stand.
Yeah, your boss Easel, the leader of the group, was hired by Viscount Farai of House Kudya, which is one of the houses of Kingdom of Ire, to have you all investigate into the Twisted Forest, like why one of their logging camps. This is a house that is known for like collecting artifacts, for using lumber as a way to kind of get rich, and they're making these further pushes out into the Twisted Forest, which is this stretch of land that is kind of filled with monsters and filled with sort of old ruins and things like that, and we're just sort of going out trying to land grab to some degree. But the Viscount, or at least the Viscount's representative who hired you, noted that a logging camp up there hasn't been meeting their quota for the past 2 months. They've stopped sending it, and the camp itself is up in the Bramblesong Mountains, and it's built beside a tributary of a river where they kind of ship the lumber down the river itself. And for some reason, they haven't been getting their numbers, not at all. And so you all have been sent up into the Bramblesong Mountains, well away from civilized land, to speak with the foreman of this camp. Foreman is a remnant by the name of Ondai Masuka, and trying to figure out why on earth haven't they been meeting their quota and pressure the foreman to get back to producing the way that they're supposed to produce. So that's the hook. Does that make sense? You good to go?
Absolutely.
We're going to dispense with travel, and we're going to say that you all followed as long as you could, like I think it's called a prosperous path, and there's a series of guard towers. This is all like a path that extends beyond the kingdom boundaries, the various boundaries of the kingdom itself. And eventually you veered northward and you start climbing up the Bramble Song itself. The Bramble Song is well named because it is a very lush and verdant mountain. And it's not just verdant with trees, but it is, as you would expect, verdant with bramble. So it has been a very painful travel at some points. Not so much because you've been attacked or accosted along the way, but you don't have paths. And so you're constantly having to cut down things in front of you. And sometimes you're having to push through certain vegetation that overnight, while you're staying in camp, suddenly regrows. And you're like, we cut that down the night before, and now it's grown again, as if it has a mind of its own, as if it's trying to keep you all from traveling too far and too inward. The mountain isn't the most difficult climb. It's a gentle climb, and you can also see that it's filled with all sorts of rivers and mountain streams, and so you've had no real difficulty over the course of the days of travel, of collecting resources for eating, for drinking, etc. And it's been a largely non-violent trek for you all, unless you've done some hunting or things like that. But eventually, you find yourself in a swath of the slope that actually has been cleared, and you start seeing that entire trees are missing, and systematically so. And you can see the stumps are still in the ground here and there, and you realize at this point that you're in the right area. And so, at a certain point, you start to notice actual paths. They're somewhat overgrown, you can tell, but you can see a well-worn path of people who have traversed this way or that, carts, wagon ruts that are still kind of digging into the dirt in some cases, but older, not necessarily recent. It is, I'll say, late in the evening. You've been pushing to try to get here before the sun comes down, and you don't see anyone at work. You don't hear anyone at work. It's a very quiet trek. You hear the sounds of forest critters and stuff moving around. And eventually, when you weave around this path, it opens up onto a logging site. And even between some of the last remaining trees, you can see what looks like the roof of a taller hut or a two-story building sitting on a ridge. You approach, you get to the outer fences, and you can see immediately that something is not quite right. The outer fences are half crushed under what looks like fallen tree trunks and boughs. You can see that the stream that you'd seen meandering a few times cuts through the middle of this compound, which isn't extraordinarily large. At most, this probably, from what you were told, up to maybe 70 people maximum could probably stay here. And you can see, as you start to weave your way inside, that something seems to be wrong with the stream itself. It kind of is flooding a bit here and there. There are these two wooden bridges. When I use the term bridge, it's very makeshift. It doesn't look like they've been built to be architecturally impressive. They're really just functional. That seems to connect two sides of a work site with a series of canvas tents and wooden cabins scattered all over the place, some of which are collapsed as well. You can hear the sounds of tents flapping in the breeze. There's a very sour odor on the air as well that immediately hits you as you push through the outer gates. The tallest building is off to the northwest, actually off to the west, I would say, which you would know is probably the saw house, where they maybe do some refining of the wood. And you can see various pulleys and arms hanging and connecting to that tall building in the distance, just swaying a little bit in the breeze from time to time. And near the edge, as you start to look at the inner workings, like the pass between some of these camps, you can even see like there's an overturned wagon that's completely submerged, not completely submerged, partially submerged in mud. You don't see anyone. No one moving about, no one on the street, no one on the pass, no one's in front of their tents, no one cooking. You see no fires of any kind. You don't see anybody. So I turn it over to you. what are you all doing? What are you all thinking? What are you saying to each other as you first arrive at this logging camp?
I imagine the easel was directly behind Gaius for most of the traveling, since he's so big and I'm very small. It makes it a lot easier for me to move through this bramble. So when we finally get to this site, Easel would poke her head around. Hello? Hello? Anyone?
You call out, and all you hear is the sound of something creaking. And you look up and you can see the pulley system by the saw house just shifts a little bit in the breeze, not in response to you, but it's certainly the only sound that seems to be making. There's some sloshing by the stream, but that's about it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I do suppose that they have either abandoned their posts or something dire has happened.
Well, they're very rude.
That is a possibility, but I would probably put it towards the bottom of the list. Guys, perhaps you could lift me up so I could see better?
Yes.
Just lift him up.
So getting like a bird eye view here. Like the brambles have like covered even like the walkways, like you said, there were like a campfire and stuff like that. Is everything covered, or is there
the only thing that's really covered is like there's a fence that seems to surround the camp that's decently high. It's not like a full palisade, but you can tell there are these huge timbers, and then between them they've run smaller strips of wood itself, and it goes all the way around. There was the path that you walked in through. There at one point was a set of like gate doors that would come in, but you can see the series of trees and boughs have fallen over and have taken out some of that as you come in. But the rest of the camp is it's not like covered in trees or anything like that. Like there's a fairly wide open area.
Does the fence look fairly new?
From your memory, from your briefing, you were told that the camp is not quite a year old. So more than likely it has been made sometime in the last several months. Yeah.
I'd like to poke around. Specifically, I'm looking for there's obviously no signs of life here, and it's been empty for a little bit at least. What I'm looking for is either signs of a struggle and like rushed exit, or did people like have time to kind of pack their shit up and leave in a more meticulous and intentional way?
Okay. So I mean, that sounds like two things to me. So it sounds like you're either looking for signs of like comings and goings, tracks in the ground, which is one thing, and then the other thing would be like the second thing you threw out there was like maybe you're looking at the cabins and the tents. So those sounds like two different things. Is there one or the other that you want to focus on first?
The struggle. If there were signs of a struggle.
Yeah, you can. So let's do our first roll. Why don't we say that? So let's do a first roll. So in this game, skills, there are several. I'm not going to necessarily list every single one, but there are quite a few. And what you do to resolve a test is you roll 3d6, you add the modifier of the skill that you're using, and then that's going to usually hit a target number. Most common target numbers for skill rolls are 12s or 4s. Could be different depending on circumstances, but that's the most common. So if you're looking, I mean, we could do a couple different things here. It could be just an awareness test if you're trying to get a sense of that. It could be you could do like a pathfinding test, maybe if you're looking for tracks. Like I think either of those might work, or if you wanted to pitch something else.
If you'll take awareness, I'd love to do that because I have a +2 in awareness and a -1 in pathfinding.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and roll an awareness.
Sweet. That is a 14.
Okay, that'll be a
so
success.
12 on the dice +2.
Okay, so Salma, I would say what you would probably be doing if you're looking for signs of struggle, if you're looking for signs of tracks, you definitely see signs of struggle. You certainly see that there are scattered tracks going this way and that throughout the entire camp. And I'm not saying that you're awareness test is necessarily covering a full examination of the whole camp, but you certainly see signs. You see little flakes of blood, dried blood, on various places here and there, on a tent flap or on the side of a cabin that seems to be a little bit more intact. Sometimes you just see it pooling on the ground and in the dirt. And one thing that catches your attention is the wagon. So you see about a quarter of the way into the logging camp. Still, I would put it at about 20 meters, 30 meters or so from the main gate. There is a wagon that's been overturned. You can see it's completely overtop. It's likely been pulled by some kind of stock animal that doesn't seem to be here. But when you examine it, you notice that it's been the rear axle has been completely shattered, and it's a very large wagon too. And you see that unlike some of the other smaller tracks here and there are very, very large footprints that have been pressed into the mud and dirt in the area. Some of which look to be a little bit more recent than the dried out remnants of things here and there. So while Salma's doing that, what are the rest of you are doing?
Would it be possible? I see that there's a new skill that wasn't in the previous game called Monsters. Is it possible to use that, look at the larger footprints or tracks that she's pointing out to see if it matches up with any knowledge of monstrous creatures?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that sounds great. Give me a monster system.
I will. I
have to ask though, do you still have Easel on your shoulders? And you're just like walking over to
his shoulders? I thought you were like one hand pressing him.
And Gaius is vaguely paying attention to the fact. It's a terrible thing that you're so light. He's like barely paying attention. He's like leaning forward. You kind of precariously almost tip out of his hand as he starts looking at the tracks.
Easel's tail just like wraps around the back of your head for stability. Nice. Like not actually around you or anything, but just like the extra hand holding her in place.
It's a lovely visual.
Nice. Wow. I rolled 3 1s.
Oh
no. The tail your tail like wraps around my eyes. It's the worst possible result
of that.
Wow.
When you're involved, Steven, 50-50.
That is atrocious.
Anything's possible when I'm there, buddy.
Okay, so 3 1s is actually a critical failure. So all ones
just
or all sixes.
Knocking it out early.
Yeah. So I think
can I pop an eye out with my tail? Like how bad are criticals in here? Are you blinded for life?
Okay. How do we want to do this? Okay, so this is what I'll say is as you're kneeling down next to these large footprints in the mud and the dirt next to the wagon, and you've got Itzel on your shoulder, Salma is kind of tinkering around with the wagon. Like she manages to lift up maybe one side of it, and darting out from underneath, you see these almost like foxes, right? They got these furry little creatures that come darting out from underneath as if they were using the wagon as like a cover or a hiding place. And in the process, they kind of clip you a little bit, Gaius, and you get upended and you sort of fall back and you bang your head. So I'm going to say that you have this little tumble moment and you fall, you bang your head, and go ahead and take like, I don't know, how much endurance do you actually have? I'm going to give you too
39.
much. Go ahead and take 4 endurance damage. You should take a little soft damage here. Sharp and soft. Soft is endurance. Endurance comes back pretty easy. But in this case, it's not going to come back immediately. As you bang your head. Not only that, in the process of doing so, you kind of smudge the footprint to the point where you really weren't sure exactly what it is. All you really knew was that it was much bigger than your own, and yours are not small.
It's not uncommon for them to hire very large men to work in forestry positions. No monster here. No tracks were ruled.
What? Gaius, I did not realize you were so skittish when I hired you.
You're welcome.
Yes, you also dropped me, and now the hem of my dress needs cleaning. I expected more professional behavior from you, to be honest.
I'm helping you understand the terrain directly.
Yes, I understand now that the terrain is muddy. If you would just please watch your footing in the future.
Very well, I'm sorry.
Mission accomplished.
Okay.
What creature left these footprints?
I don't know.
You are not certain. Yes, perhaps you are not horribly familiar with the Twisted Forest. Maybe Gaius hasn't spent a lot of time up here, and so you're not sure exactly what you want to refer to that as. All right, so while that's happening, Esther, what have you been doing? Salma's looking at this wagon. Gaius was looking at the footprints. Itzel was rolling around in mud. What are you up to? Whatever your name is. What are you doing, Esther?
So Esther, I would say Esther noticed the smell. And so I would say that's what she's kind of trying to follow. So there was kind of a bit of a sour smell when we walked up. And so that's what she's kind of trying to kind of put her nose up. And so like the three of them sort of went off in one direction and she's just sort of like nose in the air, just kind of trying to follow and see what that is and where that leads her.
Okay. So yeah, you can go ahead and let's do another roll for you then. We could do, so what are you thinking? You want to do like,
like awareness, I was hoping.
I'll take it. Sure.
Fall under?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So awareness for me is a +4.
Mm-hmm.
16.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So I would say a 16 would also be an unexpected consequence. So
nice.
Because it's 4 over the target of that one would have been 12. So unexpected consequences are just like little bonuses and things you can get here and there. There's like a list of them that you can follow, or you can just kind of make something up. So what I would say is, like, if you know, what you could potentially do if you make any other tests, or if anybody else makes a test that might involve anything related to this smell, you can take a +2 on it, essentially. So we'll have that floating out there, possibly. Okay. So what you discover, Esther, as you walk a little bit further away from your compatriots here, you find a kind of you start to climb down a ridge a bit, and you notice a grouping of tents, and you can see that there's definitely was a cook fire that was out here at some point. It doesn't look to be warm from what you can tell. You can see that some of the tents are sagging, and there's a lot of collected rainwater and mildew and like fungal growth that seems to have that has started. It's not like it's been like this way for several, for like weeks, but maybe a couple days growth. And so you could probably attribute some of the smell to the fact that there is a pot that's sitting atop the cooking fire here, and there was something that was being cooked. It never got tipped over or anything like that, and whatever it is, it's just gone foul. You can see, like, in this little area, some of the tents have collapsed entirely. Some of the tents are still largely intact, and then off to the west a bit, you can see the saw house, and like a little shadow is kind of being thrown over top of you here and there.
So I would say she would do her best and just, I hope this was going to be a delicious meal for someone at some point. And so she will kind of tip over that pot and sort of dump it out, just to make sure that it looks like general food and not some nefarious bit of things. So she will kind of dump out the pot and just kind of look through it just to make sure it looks sort of just like meats and vegetables and those types of things.
That's all it looks like. Yeah.
Okay.
It just looks like it's been old and rancid and sitting there for a few days.
Okay. And she'll kind of poke in the tents a little bit as well, just to make sure that everything seems nothing else there.
If you go in the tents and you start looking around a little bit, the ones that are intact, you can certainly tell that there's sleeping rolls that are out. There's a few like foot lockers and things where people have kept some of their belongings. You can start rifling through those if you want to, if that's something of interest. Okay.
Yes, I would be nosy.
Okay. So if you start rifling through everything, it definitely feels like this hasn't been slept in. Like it's not warm. And when you go through the floor, when you go through the foot lockers and things, you can see that there's some like other clothes. You can see there's like some personal trinkets and belongings. And then you also find that there are like a journal, like there's pages of things. And so you kind of pull that out and maybe start flipping through it for a little bit.
Yeah, and I definitely want to see with the journal, like how many days ago was the last entry in the journal.
Okay. We'll say about 3, it looks like, from your estimation. And while you read up on the last couple of days, let's check back in. By the wagon, where Salma, you had determined essentially that the wagon was turned over, it was broken. It was definitely it would have taken a significant amount of force to kind of flip this over. You would also notice that that large footprint seems to be more recent than some of the other older marks as well. So what would Salma be doing next?
I do see Gaius and Isla here, so I don't know how terribly things have gone, but assume they have it under control. So I'm gonna go over to the tributary, because I'd like to So this is, I guess, kind of a world question, Jeff. When we were walking up here, it's not like there was a rain or anything that would have made this flood in the way we're seeing.
No, it wouldn't have.
Okay.
And by flood, I just mean that like it certainly seems like the banks of the stream itself. This and it's a fairly stationary, and it looks to be in decently deep. It's the type of thing that they could potentially ship some logs down that'll drop over the side of a fall and then kind of get caught up in the river, wash down to wherever it is that House Cudia picks it up. But you can tell that like it's certainly having some trouble. And as you go over there, it's very clear to see what the problem is. And you can see that there is a log jam where several felled logs have kind of gotten stuck a bit underneath one of the bridges, and in doing so has created this bit of flooding. The water's not passing through. It certainly looks like it's like it hasn't been tended to in quite some time. Like people who are professional loggers would very easily clear this if they had the time, but for some reason they haven't.
Sure. Am I able to see where the logs came from?
It's a logging camp, so more than likely the felled trees that you saw on the way here, they likely brought back on the wagon, and then they dropped them down here for transport downriver.
Thank you. I was more just wondering if it was like a fallen tree or some shit.
No, this definitely looks like their work. It's kind of stuck.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay. What about you, Isel or Easel? I'm going to pronounce your name 7 different ways. Izzy.
So I'm really good at persuading people and being rich.
How's that working?
So I think I've gotten pretty muddy. So I would probably be sticking close to. Salma said that she was going off, so I'd stay close to Gaius and just whatever they're planning on doing, I would assist.
Okay. What are you planning on doing, Gaius?
I have 2 trains of thought. On one, we could go and clear the jam such that once we've solved this problem, we will efficiently improve productivity so they can get back to work promptly, as they should. Or, I have a sense of I apparently have a rank of sophistication, and I want to look for the fanciest hovel here to see who was in charge and then look through whatever notes they might have.
Okay. Okay, you want to do sophistication? Go ahead, do a sophistication roll. But before you do, we'll let Easel assist. So in this game, the way you assist Easel is you roll a suitable skill test. You say how you're assisting, and then you have to hit a 10. And if you hit a 10, they get a +1.
I actually am good at sophistication. I've got +2 to that. So I will point out what I think is the best one. We'll see if I'm right or if you're right.
Well, maybe I should be assisting you.
No.
It's too late. We already said
Okay.
it.
Steven said Steven didn't want to do anything.
Okay. All right.
So that is a 12 for me. So you get +1 to your roll.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. About to watch how amazing I am at sophistication.
Looking for all the ones again.
No, man, 15. I was really sophisticated.
Okay. So you look around and you notice that there is, other than the saw house, which is the largest building, but you know what that's probably for. There is one that's kind of up on the northern ridge, and the ridge is a handful of feet away from where Salma is kind of poking around at where the jam is at the bridge. And then you can see Esther is down a handful of feet down a ridge. It's almost like it's overlooking, like this built place is overlooking like the tent camp below that Esther is poking through. And when you move inside, you can see that it is definitely a cabin for one person. Like this is not a shared space. There's no bunk beds or anything like that. It's a single. There's like a single bed. It looks like it's been, first glance, ransacked. Like you can tell like stuff has been gone through. Like there's a desk and you can see stuff has been pulled out and papers are strewn about, log books, etc. If you had to guess, this is probably like the foreman's cabin. And just judging from all these different logs in terms of how they've been tracking like productivity over time. That's what you see. What is there anything in particular you'd be looking for in here? Is there like something you're trying to glean or learn?
Like a log, maybe?
Yeah, that's where Gaius' head was too.
Okay. Isa, why don't you make a roll? Go ahead and you can give me like a wealth roll. You can give me, because it's the idea of like sifting through accounts. You can give me a culture roll maybe to try to understand, because this is you notice a remnant foreman, and so maybe trying to understand how they tend to organize things or something like that. I would
I'm good with wealth. I've got +3 there. Culture I'm at -2 because I only care about myself. So
Clearly.
right, but what about Easel? The joke is always funny for me. Like I just feel like it's always funny.
We do.
I do have equipment for a wealth fortune potion. I'd be able to take a sip of that to get a. I feel like that makes sense. My character art is that I have a teapot and a teacup. So maybe I'm just making a pot of tea with my fortune potion as we're sitting here and really taking my time looking for this log.
Okay. Give me a wealth test.
So you're well
you
hydrated.
Get +1 for the fortune potion?
No.
If you really want to use your fortune potion for this, you absolutely.
It's not a one-time thing, is it?
I don't know, man. I didn't even look at your character. Let me see.
Just roll the dice. Roll the dice. Roll the damn dice.
15.
Okay.
See, don't even worry about the +1.
Yeah, you find a logbook for sure. You not only find a logbook, but you notice as you flip through it, and mostly it's just sort of tracking like quota, and it's tracking work schedules, like which shifts people are on. You can tell that there's basically 2 shifts, one that's led by the foreman, and he's usually in charge, and that's Ondai, Masuka, the remnant. There's also a second shift that is run by someone by the name of Tenok, who's like a taskmaster, and the two of them kind of overlaps. There's like a morning shift and then the afternoon shift, and so you see a lot of the account book is tracking that. But what you also find is you find an unsent, like drafted letter addressed to the Viscount, or at least of the Viscount's offices, of how the very person that you were hired by. Written by the foreman with lots of, have like hastily like struck out lines here and there. When you read it, presumably, you learn that apparently there has been some trouble specifically with a local population. The population is referred to in multiple ways. At one point, it was referred to as Neff spawn and then struck out. At another point, it was referred to as spiders and then struck out. And then another time, it was referred to as like that looks like what he settled on as he was trying to find increasingly increasingly mundane terminology was local inhabitants of the forest. And that apparently this logging camp is on their land and they expect to be paid like a tithing or something like that.
So as I'm reading this log book, going through it, I've got my tea. I pour. Gaius, would you like a cup as well?
I would love some, thank you.
And I pour you a cup. Is that warm enough?
It is perfection, my lady.
Of course it is. I made it. So it appears that there is problems with the local inhabitants of the forest. And, well, it's a little vague on who they are. It seemed that it used to be more specific, but if I scratch off some of this ink here, something about spiders or Neff spawn? Spiders tend to be solitary creatures, though, so that seems like it would be highly inaccurate.
Neff spawn would be a term that the two of you are familiar with. So Neff is a goddess or goddess? Can't remember. Who was killed and their head plummeted. Well, I think just their head plummeted to the earth, and like to the north, far to the north. Like there's actually some cool art of this in the Fragged Kingdom book. Like their head is just like there, and it's like a settlement. And so you would know that a Neff spawn is specifically like these like virulent, like monstrous sort of creatures and settlements and such that is in the wilds of like the Twisted Forest, and usually tend to be the types of creatures you might have encounters with. Sometimes not always like fighting necessarily, but like it's definitely a common occurrence. So you all would know that basic term.
Yes.
And it appears that they were really cutting into profits.
My lady, given the state of the camp. I'm sorry.
Yes, of course. You should wait till I finish talking and then you talk. That is how it works customarily. But it appears that we are not only going to have to find more employees to hire, hopefully we could save quite a bit of money on training if we could rescue any loggers that may have survived. Perhaps they have gone into hiding, or maybe they've been taken away. We should really try to find the bottom of this Neff spawn.
Agreed. Very wise decision, my lady.
Of course.
Okay. Over by Esther. I see now why Steven picked this person.
Yes.
So that he can just look down his nose at everybody.
I'm looking up. I'm like 3 foot tall.
Well, I mean, you're forcing him to put you on his shoulder, so then you are actually looking down.
Guys, he's like sitting cross-legged on the floor, hunching as much as possible to try and not make you look up.
God. And I'm standing on the chair.
It's a great visual.
Let's check back in with Esther. Esther, you've been reading through this journal, correct?
Yep. Looking for the last entry, thinking it's maybe about 3 or so days ago.
Okay. The last several entries, there are accounts of spider sightings in the woods. There's something about strangely marked trees that were cut down. And like some of the workers were a little bit concerned about that. They didn't understand. Like some people didn't want to do it. They thought it was bad luck. And then like the taskmaster, like the Talatl, and like the foreman insisted. There's a lot of unease that these logbooks are essentially conveying. And then the final 2 entries, one of them talks about how the foreman was actually confronted by a group of spiders. That's how they're describing them. These multi-legged arachnids, and they had some kind of argument out by one of the one of the logging sites. And then the very last entry was somebody talking about like not being able to sleep because they keep hearing voices beneath the floors.
Voices beneath the floors.
Yes.
Interesting. Voices beneath the floors.
And you can see, like, even in the tents, they have laid down a series of smooth and planed out wood slats. So, like, there are floorboards even in this intact tent that you're in.
So I would say that would pique her curiosity. Voices beneath the and so she's going to try to kind of look through the tents and see if anything seems to have like come up through these floorboards in the tents at all.
Okay. As you start searching around, give me an awareness test.
Right. I like rolling awareness tests.
Something a little different. So you're shifting gears and you're looking for anything beneath the floorboard. You're messing around with it. You're going from one to the next, etc. But give me another one.
17.
17. Okay. Another unexpected consequence here. I'm going to give you a couple things. You start going in and out to these tents. Some of them are not intact, are no longer intact. They've collapsed. You can see a wall on one of these cabins has collapsed as well. You can even tell that one of the doors into these cabins has been blown off its hinges. It's just sort of splintered, but it's splintered like outward onto the ground. And as you peek inside, you notice there is a giant hole in the floor. You can see the floorboards have splintered and gone in different directions, and you can see there is a hole going down into the earth. However, the other thing you notice, and that you basically hear, are voices. And you hear voices like, first they were kind of muffled, and then someone shouts, and you're pretty sure it's coming from the saw house. And then as you turn to look, you notice like in a tree nearby, because in the camp, there's a handful of trees that they've left, probably for shade and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And you see there's movement. There are two people up in one of these trees, and they are clearly watching you.
And Esther is not the talkative one. And so she is going to kind of make note of the damage in the door and the floors and all of that. And so she is going to see that they have seen her. She has seen them seeing her. And so she'll just sort of wave as she's slowly walking back towards the rest of the group as she is off by herself.
Are you walking backwards, or are you walking like back towards them? Like, I wasn't sure. I was trying to understand. Are you like walking backwards?
It initially is literally kind of a backwards of like kind of exactly like
you get 3 steps before you bump into somebody.
Oh. And
when you turn around, you can see that there's a relatively tall remnant of like a kind of a cat varietal, kind of dark fur here and there, and you can see they've kind of dyed parts of their fur like streaking in like purples and greens. And they look down at you, and they look how you're carrying a book, and you've grabbed a few things from these tents, and they say, "I'm sorry, but that's all salvage. We've already claimed this place, so hand it over, miss, or I'm going to take more than you have."
And she's going to talk fairly loudly, hoping for others in the group to hear. We were sent here to find, and she's going to hand kind of the journal over. We were sent here to find out what happened to the loggers here. I was not aware of a change of ownership. The Viscount sent us here.
And he's like, I don't think that orb of yours right there, that's a nice shiny looking thing. You probably found it in one of them tents. Why don't you hand that over too?
Nope. That's mine. I did not find that here. I gave you what I found here. I mean, you can have the broken wood if you want, but nope. That is mine.
he pulls out like he's got this axe with him, and he's got a little buckler like strapped to his other arm. He's like, I don't think he understood what I said. I said I won't at all. You are in our claimed salvage. Anything in our claim is ours. So hand it over. Hand it over, or I'm going to cut your head off, and I'm going to take your head and the orb. Those are the two offers in front of you.
You can't have my orb. And she whistles really loudly.
Okay. Yeah! And he swings down at you at this point. We're going to go into a combat.
We are.
Very excited.
All right.
Let's do... Why don't we
Esther
do it?
versus 5 bandits.
Does anyone
is that how
else
many-
hear any of this?
You're all here. You're just different ways away. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Got a
I did one of
things
those,
set up.
fingers in your hand kind of whistles that just pierces through like anything.
All right.
I can't do it in real life, but
No, I mean,
I play it in
know what you
games
mean.
all the time because I can't do it.
Let me bring you over to the village map.
Oh dear.
Get this going a little bit. Okay.
Hey.
All right. Let me move
Very
you all
cool.
to whereabouts you have been. Okay. So basically, let's see. We've got, so if you're looking at the map, who am I looking for? I'm looking for Salma. Salma, you've been investigating the log jam. So you're kind of around here. Okay.
Yeah.
Gaius and Easel, you have been looking at one of the house to the north of the camp. So Easel, the two of you are up here, which is where like the foreman was. And then Esther, you specifically were looking around in like the sort of this tent area, like right underneath the actual foreman's cabin. So like you're not that far, and there's a little bit of a ridge line there. And so,
Okay. And which of the buildings is that saw house that?
the saw house is off to the west. Basically, it's not perfect.
I see.
But
Okay.
that's basically off to the west. I'm pinging it there.
Got it. Okay.
Let me get a few things out on the screen for you.
Oh
All
dear.
right.
Oh,
So you
dear.
saw that there were basically two people that were up towards like this tree to the south, and those are the ones you spotted. So
Okay.
I'll go ahead and get those on the screen. Then the one that you
boy.
bumped into. So technically, I'm gonna put you right there, and you like bump into this other fella. Okay, and that's currently what you see on the screen. But I will say that as you whistle and as this exchange starts to happen, I would say, Salma, you're probably the one who notices this most, because down by where you're at, you can see there's more of these like tents and things. You can see some people start coming out of like what look like hiding, you think. And so they're sort of scattered about. And then, all right. And then that's what you see. Okay, so that's what everyone basically sees for now. All right, things might change. Okay. All right. So all right. So let's talk a little bit about combat. So there's two types of combat in this game. There's minor combat, which is really kind of like a skill challenge, essentially, where you just sort of narrate it, you roll a couple skill checks. You don't worry about like the actual placement where everyone's standing and counting squares and all that kind of stuff. But then there's also tactical combat, and I wanted to make sure we gave it a try. And so that's effectively what we're doing here. Okay, so all right, get that going. Okay, so in Fragged, you all have a combat order substat, and this is effectively what determines when you go in combat. And so you guys can double check me. I think I have this right, but double check to make sure I'm correct. Steven, I have you actually at the highest with a 3.4. Esther, I have you at the second highest with a 3.3.
Yes.
Gaius, I have you at a 3.2. Salma, you slow. 2.3 is what I have.
Yeah.
And then I have some of my own stuff. Okay. And so on your turn, you get 2 actions. Now, actions in Fragged are kind of chunky. So it's not just like move and attack. Like each action itself has various effects and various sub things that you can do within it. So there's a lot of really cool choices that you could potentially do. So I'm just going to go through them since this is our first one. So let's just talk about the things that you could potentially do. So you can take 2 of these per turn. So you can do reposition, which is your most probably your most versatile move action. So if you're really interested in making a lot of change in terms of where you're at, you can choose the reposition action, which does one of 2 things. You can either move a greater distance than normal. So that means you all have like a mobility attribute. So you can move a number of squares, which is equal to meters, equal to your mobility attribute plus 2. So if your mobility attribute was 4, that means you can move 6 spaces. The other thing you could do instead, you have to do one of these 2, is you can try to take more cover. And so you can increase your cover, and that might help you with your defense when you're getting attacked. There's what's called Overwatch. This game doesn't want you to delay your turn. Instead of delaying, you would Overwatch. And Overwatch thematically is like you would expect it in all sorts of other games where you identify like a particular trigger, and like once you don't even have to call out what that trigger is, but once a perceived character completes an action or charges, we're not doing charges because we don't have mounts, you can trigger whatever yours was, and so you can interrupt their turn and you can attack them as long as you had a drawn weapon. There's Quick Shot. So Quick Shot allows you to do like a movement and an attack as part of one action. So you move your mobility and you also attack. And so that's like a nice little versatile thing. There's Sure Shot. That's where you're doing an attack, but you're getting some bonuses to it because you're like taking your time and you're really focusing. And so your to hit will get a bonus from your reflexes, and you'll also get what's called momentum. So at the start of combat, your momentum is basically at 0, but you can build momentum up over the course of combat. And momentum is like a resource that you can expend to get extra dice on your attack rolls, basically. There's Take Aim. Take Aim, again, lets you it lists a handful of effects, and those effects, you can pick 2 of them. And so if you like your first action was Take Aim and your second action was Sure Shot, like your Take Aim, all the benefits from Take Aim would then be on that Sure Shot. So Take Aim, a couple of the effects you could choose from. You can get +2 to hit. You can increase your endurance damage by 2. You can kind of modify the crit that you might do. In this game, like there's crit locations, and so you can potentially modify it. Or you can increase the damage that you would do by crits as well. So those are a couple options. And then there's the prep action. And so the prep action, again, has a list of things that you can choose from. So you can draw a weapon, and I am going to hold you all to this because it's there. I would say it's fair that Esther has your orb out because I was just talking about it. Gaius in Easel, you guys were I don't think you would have it out. Salma, I can go either way. It's up to you, whatever you think. You can reload. So some of you, okay, fair enough. So some of you might have a weapon that has a reload keyword on it, and so you could potentially reload it here. You could also take a recover effect, which is allow you to get some of your endurance back. You can move as well. You can perform a skill roll. That could be a lot of different things. Like if someone catches on fire and you want to put them out, or someone's bleeding and you want to like suture the bleeding, or if you just want to try to stealth or something like that, you would probably take the prep action and then you would do a skill roll here. And then you can also build up your momentum with prep as well. And so those are the things that you can choose from. So and so on each turn, you all can pick 2 of those, and you can take the same turn. You can take the same action twice. So reposition, Overwatch, Quick Shot, Sure Shot, Take Aim, and Prep. And those are all the things we basically have. Otherwise, like the game, in terms of like tactical combat, each square is a meter, basically. Look at your mobility. That's the number of squares you can go effectively. We'll play it by ear when it comes to like difficult terrain. If you're trying to cross the stream, it's probably going to take you like a skill check to get across because it's a little bit deep. So stuff like that. Any questions on combat stuff as we kind of dive in for the first time?
Not yet.
Okay.
Good.
I'm sure there will be. Totally cool.
Yeah.
But this is what this is for, us kind of figuring it out. Okay.
So come back to me.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So strangely enough, the first person, sorry, that's in the wrong place. I have a couple things I think you guys haven't actually seen yet. Yeah, you guys actually haven't seen a few things yet. Because there's other, I'm just going to reveal it to you. There's other mobs here, but you all haven't actually seen them do anything yet.
That makes sense.
But the ones near Salma were close enough that she could see them, and then the one near Esther would be close enough as well. Okay, so Esther, you actually get to go first. Like, so this person's rearing back to swing at you, but you're quicker. Like, you can do something. So you get 2 actions. What would you like to do?
Okay, so what I get as a technomage first, so I have an intelligence trait called Foresight. So at the start of combat, you can do one of the following: move 4 spaces, make a skill roll, or add a space of heavy physical visibility cover to an adjacent space.
Okay.
So what I would like to do with my Foresight is move 4 spaces. So that's what I want to do first. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to move kind of to the east, and I'm assuming that I'm going to get into kind of difficult terrain where it's going to be like, it's not going to be one, it's going to be multiple. So if you can kind of check my math on here. So I think I'm going to move 1, 2, and then I'm considering that space to be like 3 and 4 of the movement,
that's
because
not
there's
difficult
stuff
terrain.
there.
The only thing I would make difficult terrain is crossing the stream or moving up or down the ridge. That's it. Because up or down the ridge, that's all it would be. Yeah.
Okay. So then I would like to move then 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away.
Okay.
So that is kind of before anything. So that's just sort of the trait thing that I get to do.
That cooking fire that you had inspected with the weird smelling broth in it.
Okay. So now I'm going to actually go into picking my 2 actions. So the first action that I want to do is reposition, because within this area, I want to give myself a +1 cover, because I've got some people up in the tree over here to the south that I'm a little concerned about.
Yeah.
So that is going to be my first action. And then for my next action, I'm going to go ahead and do a sure shot.
Okay.
So that's going to take my momentum from a 0 to a 1.
Okay.
And then I'm going to attack, and my hit, I get to add my reflexes.
Okay. Who are you attacking?
Oh, the big guy. Sorry. Yep.
I haven't shown you the big guy yet.
The one that was just talking to me?
Okay.
The one that said he was going to steal my...
that big. Relative to what I'm going to show you in a second.
Oh, dear. I thought he was the big guy. Okay. So that is who... Yeah. That's who I am focusing on. I have 3 D6 is my hit die. And then, so modifier is usually a +4, but because I am doing a sure shot, I get to add my reflexes to this. This is another 3.
Okay.
So that's going to be a 7 modifier.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And so I rolled a 1, a 3, and a 6.
Okay.
Which is great, because 6s are cool.
What's your total?
So my total is a 17.
Okay, that is a hit for sure. Absolutely. Okay.
Sorry. No. It's a 13. Sorry. I shouldn't have added the 4. It's a 13.
I'm sorry to say that is actually a miss. However, you have grit. You could spend grit to reroll. So grit is a resource you could potentially use to reroll if you wanted to.
Yeah, so we've got grit rerolls, and then I also rolled a 6. So that means that I would have strong hit options for the effort to reroll.
So when you, in this game, when you roll a 6 on a, like basically on these attacks and such, you have a strong hit. And for as many 6s as you can have, you can purchase various effects. So one that commonly is effort, where you can just effectively reroll a single die. You can also, this is also a way of triggering crit damage. So you can actually do a critical, and so that means hitting attribute damage as opposed to just endurance. Endurance is kind of like a stamina. It's like bruises, getting winded, stuff like that. It's not necessarily the stuff that's going to kill you, but attribute damage is usually what kills people. How'd you do?
So I did the thing that happens. I spent it, and I rolled another one.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That is still as it is.
Okay.
Well, you couldn't roll lower, at least.
Okay.
That is true. I could not roll lower. So
All right,
I am so sort of just shaken by this whole situation, and now I'm trying to move out of the way. And I had thought it was a lovely idea to dip over this pot and make sure that there wasn't anything in it. And now I'm like distracted by walking through the smelly pot, foul,
Can I ask you
liquid
a
food
question?
stuff. Yes.
What did you roll on your initial roll? I'm sort of surprised you missed. What did you roll?
So I rolled a 3, a 6, and a 1.
That's 10 plus 4.
That's 10.
Plus 4.
Plus-
You have a plus 4 to
yes.
hit. Okay, so that's 14. And then because you've got
Oh yeah, I had my reflexes.
you did you got a plus 2 to hit as well from your actually,
plus 3. No,
from
I was
your
right the first
reflexes.
time. 17.
17. So you
I was
did
right
hit.
the first time. 17. I did
Okay.
hit. Look at me.
Yeah.
So you could have
Second-guessing
spent your
myself.
6 on something else.
So you could take
I
that
can
6
spend
back.
my 6 on something
Absolutely.
else.
Yes.
That is true. Cool. All right.
Roll that back.
So then that means I am going to do. Oh, what am I going to do with that? I am going to do a critical hit.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
So endurance damage is 7 and critical damage is 3.
Nice.
Okay.
So that is what, and I just want to kind of spell this out for everyone. So the divine orb has an ideal range of 5 to 15. And so because I moved away, I'm 5 spaces away, which means that I do get the critical hit.
Okay. So 3 points of critical hit damage. And then what was the endurance damage?
7.
7. Ooh, okay.
Oof.
So you fire this orb, and is it just like a ball of fire? Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, basically. So I have my orb, and I've been kind of clutching it because, this person said he was going to take it from me. And I'm like, oh, you don't take this from me. And so then kind of as she kind of pushes it out, it kind of lets out this, kind of fireball.
Okay. And so he sort of surprised at how fast you move, quickly at the last second gets that buckler up, and you can see that your orb just crashes right into it, and it sends him sprawling. And you can tell, like, as he sprawls back, he kind of gets to a knee and then stands back up. He seems very winded, but was able at the very last second to sort of shield himself from the worst part of the blow. That's me flavoring that your critical damage did not actually get through his armor, is what I'm saying. But he did take some
Makes
endurance
sense.
levels. Okay.
Nice.
All right. So that's your prep. I'm sorry, that's not your prep. That's your second action. That's your sure shot. You did reposition. You did sure shot, and so you are done. Correct?
I am done. Yes.
Excellent.
Hey, I did the thing.
Okay. I think we skipped Easel, but we'll go to Easel and Gaius now. So sorry about it, because I think Easel actually goes first, 3.4, right? Yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were already in it, so I didn't want to say anything. It was fine.
Fair enough. Well, we'll say now you hear the sounds. Maybe you didn't hear the sounds of her whistling, but you've heard the sounds of like fighting outside. So now the two of you.
I honestly was going to flavor it that Easel would not be that worried about her anyways. So it makes sense that there would be a little bit of a delayed reaction. But with the fireball, that would probably be more alarming than the whistle. So first action would be prep to draw my throwing knives.
Okay.
Can I draw all 3 with a single prep? Or does it cost 3?
I don't think the throwing knives are individualized. I think that's just your weapon.
On my character sheet. Okay.
Okay. I think that that's just your weapon.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Listed as requiring 3 hands.
And you have 3 hands because of your tail.
Oh, okay. If it says it requires 3 hands, then yeah, you have 1 in each hand and 1 in your tail.
Okay. So I, they're probably like strapped to my thigh under my dress. So I grab them all. And I, with my second prep action, I will move. I can move 4 spaces. Difficult terrain is the ridge, you said.
Yeah.
So I would move 1, 2, 3, 4, right about there.
Okay.
Does that look right?
You start to stumble down the ridge a little bit. Yeah, for sure. I like it.
Not stumble. I'm very graceful. I've got quite
You start
high
to gracefully
mobility. and
stumble
reflexes.
down the ridge a little bit.
Yes. I am wearing heels in my art too, so that makes it a bit more difficult. So I have to.
I know those
Perfect.
have been great on the trek up the Bramblesong Mountains
Mhm,
for sure.
mhm.
Of
Totally
course you're
been
right.
very
Yeah.
useful.
Of
They've
course.
been digging into Gaius's neck. That's what it is.
Second action then would be quick shot to move one more time to get up within melee range.
Okay. You're
And
right behind him.
stab this guy with my knives.
Absolutely.
So I've got +2 to hit. I roll 4d6.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Goodness.
That's a 21 with a 6.
Nice.
21 with a
Hell
six. That is
yes.
most certainly a hit. No doubt. No doubt at all.
Let's go ahead and I'm gonna do burn because it's my first time. So my
Yes.
throwing knives are laced with a very certain special type of tea
Mhm.
that inflicts a bit of burning. And you
And who
don't
helps
want it
you
in
with
your
that,
bloodstream. I save
by
this
the
only for
way?
my husband. I'm single now, by the way.
Aw.
So
Gotta hear that.
it was a very sad, unexpected thing. Very tragic.
Okay.
So with burn, he suffers 3 general damage at the start of their turn
Okay.
until an appropriate skill roll of 12 is made.
I am going to say that because you hit a 21, that is a unexpected consequence. I'm going to make it not impressive. I'm going to make it increased effect. Unless you want it to be impressive, unless you want to impress Esther with what you've done, it's not going to have any mechanical difference. It's just going to be she's very impressed by you.
I do like impressing people. That
We'll
that
do
is
Never
kind of.
mind. I forgot who I was
Yeah,
talking
I'm
to. So
Shocked.
yes, that's what we're going
So
to.
shocked.
Yes. Okay.
So in my heels, I'm flourishing 3 knives and just very lightly grazing them across this guy. Very light cuts, but the poison seeps in.
Okay.
The endurance damage is 3 plus my focus.
At the start of his turn.
No, that includes my focus. No, so from the actual hitting, I do 3 damage, right?
Okay.
And then he takes 3 more at the start of his turn.
Gotcha. Okay. So what is the total damage right now was 3?
3.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. All right. You
Thank
come
you.
up
Sorry,
right
I'm
behind
using a
him.
lot of
You
words.
start slashing away. He's like, what the? And he turns around and he sees you. And his you get like the back of his legs and such. Like you cut him across like the back of his hamstring and his calf, and suddenly the blood is coming down now. Okay. Excellent.
Apologies, but we cannot afford more losses to our labor force.
Okay. Oh goodness. Then next up is Gaius. So Gaius, you see Easel rush out. What are you doing?
Me too. I am not as graceful. I've only got a mobility 2, so with that difficult terrain, I don't think I'm going to get to take an action. It looks like I would probably need to do prep to do draw and move, and then I would need to reposition to move twice because of the difficult terrain just to get up on them. It looks like
It's move +2, so it would be your mobility +2. It's not it's not times 2. Yeah. So
okay.
your
So in that
move
case,
would basically get you effectively halfway down the ridge. Then your
Okay.
reposition would basically get you right next to Easel.
Okay. So in that case, maybe reposition would get me down there and then do prep to draw an attack.
I don't think you could get to him with just a regular. I think you need the +2 from the reposition to get the rest of the way. Yeah.
Okay. So reposition, then prep for draw and move again. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's
Yeah.
how the math works to get you there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
so
would get you
basically
like right next to him.
Okay. Similar outcome. Spend everything to get there with weapon draw.
Okay.
Just
Excellent.
just slightly less graceful. Just bigger
Mhm.
steps.
All right. Next, we have Salma. Salma, you are inspecting the logs. You suddenly hear a whistle from behind you, and you hear the sounds of like a fire explosion a bit and shouting. And as you turn around to see where it is, you see coming out of 2 of these tents, you can see these people. These one of them looks to be Kaltoran, and they've got their hair kind of tied back in these tight braids. And then the second one looks to be Twyfar with his purplish skin and almost like a mohawk going down the middle. And they're both kind of pulling out axe and board and coming in your direction. And those are off to the east from where you're at.
Okay. I'm gonna react to Esther's whistle.
Okay.
And get as close to her as possible. I would like to do a reposition and a prep, and the 2 actions on prep would be drawing my weapon and move.
Okay, so let's look at this on the map then. So what is your mobility?
Mobility is 3.
Okay,
So reposition is 3 plus 2, which is 5.
All right, and so you just want to take like the most direct path possible. Is that what we're thinking? Okay, so there's like,
is that okay?
Yeah, there's like a stack of crates and like other timber that you can kind of almost use as steps to come up. So I'll say that you can, with the first move, you effectively get to one of them. Sorry. So we'll say you make it. Sorry. You make it all the way up to the steps. That's 5. And then you are going to prep, which is going to give you 3 more, right? And that would effectively...
yes, it'll give me 3 more on movement, and because that's my mobility, and I'd like to use the second half prep to draw my crossbow.
Excellent. And so as you climb up the last steps, you climb up the ridge, you pop up top onto that level that Esther is at, and now that you can see Gaius and Easel are as well, you draw your weapon, you hear rumbling next to you, and you can see that like kind of hiding in the trees and hopping down. You can see there's 2 as well. Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's everyone's turns. So it comes to mine. So you were talking about the big one, right? Is that what we're talking about? We're talking about the big one.
Yeah, that's who we thought was the big one, because I bashed right up into them.
I don't like how you were saying that.
Just going to check the numbers here. Okay. So rushing out from Gaius and Easel across the stream, you can see like rushing out from one of these workshops that are set up. You can see pulley systems and things, like you're not sure specifically which one, but you see rushing around the corner and making herself suddenly visible to everybody is a very tall, very angry, and very Legion woman who's like screaming her lungs out at this point. This like war cry comes out as she comes running over. I'm going to say that's her first action, is to essentially get into that position. And then I think for her second action, so her first action is essentially was moving and is in drawing. So her prep, because she does the same. And then her second action, I think she is going to, taking a look at her stats as well.
Gaius, that one is going to be yours.
All right. I'm going to say she is going to race across. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. So she's going to, her last action is going to be effectively with these long Legion legs. And guys, you probably could do this too. She's just racing across, and you can see she, instead of like rushing through the stream itself, there is this like log that's just lingering in the stream. One stride, she gets a foot on the log. The second stride, she's over top of the stream entirely. It took 2 long strides, and she lands on the other side, and that is her turn. There's nothing more that she can do. And she's
precisely as I said. No monster, simply a very large person.
Okay. Next is okay. So my next action. So in this game, there's like on the GM side, there's different categories of enemies. There's like nemesis, which are like the really strong ones. There's skilled, and there's troops, and there's henchmen. It's a kind of how you try to organize multiples at the same time. So there's only so much I'm able to do. However, I think Salma and Esther are both potentially in range of an attack. Double checking. Yeah, they are. Okay. So it's really just a 50-50 about which one I want to send to. I can't activate every single one of these people, unfortunately. I really only have a limit.
I feel so bad for you, man.
Yeah,
That's such a shame.
I changed my mind. I'm going to activate every single one of them. All right.
Hey, rules are rules.
Quick reminder for Esther that I did. I've got a +1 cover.
Yeah,
Of
that's a good
the
point.
action that I took.
All right, and if that's the case,
She's
I'm
inspired
going
because I
to.
impressed her.
I'm going to. One of them's going to try to cut off Salma. They see Salma climbing up and trying to join the fight, and so one of them is going to move. So I'm going to do quick shot. So it allows me to move and attack. So I can move up to my mobility attribute, which you are within. So he's going to come over. He's got his axe and what's it called, like buckler out, and then I'm going to have him take a swing with his attack, with his axe. Okay. So, all right, I actually do have to roll. So I got 3d6. Okay, here we go.
Is that against my defense?
It is against your defense. That is correct. Okay. All right. All right. That is a total. That's 4 4s, plus 4. So many 4s. It's a total of 16 on my attack. How was that against you?
That probably beats it. I have a 13 on defense, but I do also have 3 on armor.
Armor is what protects you from critical damage. Defense is the hit. Okay. So in this case,
Then
it's
it
16 hits. Okay. So in that case, it's going to do damage. So for him, he does flat. So you're going to take 4 points of endurance damage. And I didn't get any strong hits, so no critical damage. So he comes up, rushes up, swings down. You probably like get a weapon up just in time to prevent it sinking into you, but it kind of pushes you back. You stumble a little bit. You take your 4 points. If you have any, what's it called? Resistance, I think. Yeah, you should have resistance, which would mitigate endurance damage, if you have any.
Yeah. I don't know that we have any.
Don't think I have any.
Okay.
I'll look at my sheet. For now, we'll say I don't have any.
I don't
But
think
if
any of
I
us do.
come across it, I'll call it.
Sounds good.
But I don't think
have
I
one
do.
because I can parry. So
Oh, you're
Easel, I'm
right.
sorry, I took that down.
You
I
have
took that
one.
off of your sheet. Sorry. All right. And that is my turn. I can't actually do any more. I have a limit to the amount of things I can do with these people. And so it comes back around, and then we're going to go back into the correct order now. And so Easel, you are first to go.
all right. So I will.
Did that one guy burn during the enemy actions?
Oh,
thank you
yeah,
so
did he
much.
call.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
He is caught on fire.
I'm gonna try and.
Burn as my lady commanded you to.
He is certainly his fur, his dark fur with, remember, he's the one who has he's like the sort of dark fur, but with the dyed streaks of remnant fur. He's now caught on fire.
So I'm gonna take aim, and choose +2 to hit and +2 endurance damage,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna sure shot because I don't need to move. So let's just put everything into it.
Sounds fantastic.
So I'm gonna get +4 to this.
Okay.
With 4 dice. Give me some 6s. Could have been better.
Okay. What's the
13
total,
to hit.
13 is actually a miss. They have a defense of 14, so that is a miss. You do have grit if you wanted to re-roll.
Is that all dice or just one?
Grit, I believe, is all. Effort is the spot single die re-roll, I believe.
Yes, I definitely want to spend the grit because it's 4 dice. Actually, can I spend the momentum that I just gained right now as well?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
The momentum would give you 1d6.
I'll save it for later, but
You
it's
don't
good.
have to, but you
Yeah,
can.
momentum is like hit dice. Grit is rerolls.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So it's up to you, whichever one you prefer.
Okay, so that's much
Oh.
better. 18
Okay.
with a 6.
18
Nice.
hits. What do you want to do with your strong hit?
So that is, I'm going to burn again because it stacks, I think.
Okay.
Is that going to be a waste? It doesn't matter. I'm doing 5 endurance
not
damage right
necessarily.
now,
Okay. All right.
and he's going to take 6 at the start of his turn.
Okay.
So just death by 1,000 cuts.
5
Yeah.
endurance right now. Let me double check.
Burn
He's
is
got
really
that-
good when you stack it.
And then he's got 6 coming to him. So I'm putting that in parentheses. He is still up, but he is certainly looking very, very, very bad.
He can try to first aid himself too, to try and get rid of the burn.
Okay. I could, but with the way his so just to let you guys know how a little bit of the GMing works. So these are henchmen, and so like it's basically like a group, right? And there's a limit to the amount of actions I can take with a group of henchmen. And so I chose to, instead of actually taking an action with him to put that out, I instead chose to attack Salma with one of them. So because I thought it'd be fun. So I'm limited. It's okay though. I don't mind.
That's the end of my turn. That's both my actions.
Excellent. He looks in really bad shape. Okay, so then next up would be Esther. Esther, we're back to you. You've taken some cover. You can see everyone's joined the party now. Your friends are here, and you're good to go.
Okay. So I still have a momentum from last time. So I want to sure shot the one up in the tree.
Okay.
So actually, sorry, I need to do a reposition first because I want to make sure that I'm still in my ideal range.
Okay.
So I'm going to reposition first so that I can get back in this corner so that I'm at my ideal range from the one up.
Excellent.
And then I'm going to do a sure shot. So I had a momentum from last time, and then I get a momentum from this time.
Excellent. So you're going to use that in your attack?
So I'm going to go ahead and use both of those momentum. So I'll be rolling 5d6.
Okay. Go right ahead.
And then because it's a sure shot, it's again the +7 because it's the +4 for my normal to hit plus reflexes.
Okay.
So let's look at these dice.
Oh, I see 2 sixes. That's going to be great.
You do see 2 sixes.
Okay.
All right. So that is a 29 to hit.
That, strangely enough, is a hit. Yes. Even with the tree cover. Yeah. 29 will definitely hit.
So surprised.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
What do you want to do with your 6s? Let's talk about that.
I want to do a critical hit.
Okay. So by default, critical hits will do whatever damage. So if you're spending a 6 to crit, it'll do your default damage. There's also a critical boost that you can also take with the second one, which would increase the amount of critical damage that you do. So I can tell you, last time around you did a critical hit and he was able to block it, which meant that he had enough armor for it not to bypass. If you did a critical boost, that would take it to 4 critical damage, which may bypass his armor.
So point of order, I am shooting at the one in the tree. So does the one in the tree have a shield? Like the one down have a shield?
I have 17 different stat blocks for these. You hold me in far too high, Steve.
So yes, I will do what you just said, which will do then 7 endurance damage and 4 critical damage.
Describe your kill as you take this person out.
Nice.
So
Yes.
I kind of how I'm imagining with the orb is it sort of like, is it the orb kind of stays with me, but the fireball comes out of the orb? Is kind of how I'm kind of imagining that. And so she just very kind of deftly kind of was attacking the one that was to the west. And then she sees that 2 of her allies are there. So she doesn't really need to worry about that one anymore. So now she's kind of backing herself up into this corner and sees, she doesn't want Selma to have 2 to her east. And so she just kind of takes in a deep breath, and you kind of see the orb, kind of get fiery again. And I think probably it sets the tree on fire too.
I think that's fair. I agree with that.
Nice.
Okay. That person, the whole tree just catches on fire, and they are burned alive within it, and then they fall down. This scorching body is brutal, absolutely brutal, and you just hear screams. It's just terrifying, and that whole eastern tree begins to catch on fire. There's nothing worse than a fire in a logging camp.
Yeah. And you just hear her muttering, "This is my orb. My orb."
Okay. All right. All right. I think you're done. Is that correct? All done?
Yes,
You
I'm done.
repositioned, you shot? Okay, good. Jeremy, Gaius is up. You got one right in front of
Yeah.
you, burning alive. You got this big lady, this legion,
Right.
like yourself, that just ran across
Yep.
and is
yep.
right there as well. And she's got like a big ass axe. She's got a big old buckler, and she looks to be raring and ready to go. What would you like to do, man?
So for my first action, I will do quick shot, which would let me move and attack. The
Absolutely.
reason I want to do that is if I take one step down, I can have both the guy who's burning and her within the range of my sword. Because the idea range of the sword, it's a big old, massive, gleaming red greatsword that has a range of 2.
Awesome.
So if I step down just a little bit, I can hit both of them using the cleave. That is one of the traits of it. So I can
Excellent.
hit anybody within 2 squares of me. It's amazing.
Okay.
So that'd be
Hell
my first
yes.
action.
Okay. So you have so do your attack with your, because you're doing a quick shot one. So do your attack. You don't get any extra bonuses for this one. It's just
Right.
your normal roll. So go ahead and give that
Yep.
a roll.
And then
Oh,
does a
God, I see
19
some
hit
sixes.
either of them?
I'm sorry, that's too high. Yes.
Oh my god, it's double 6s.
I know. I saw the double sixes. I'm like, yep, they're dead. Yeah, both
Okay.
both of them get hit.
So
Yes.
my normal crit damage would be 4. So if I put the second one into crit boost, it'd be 5 crit for both of them.
Okay. Now, does cleave do the crit damage to both or just to one?
That's a good question. I know it hits anybody in there, and it's the same attack roll that gets applied to all of them.
Sounds successful attack roll. Everything within X spaces of your target and within your max range is damaged by this weapon, i.e., suffers endurance damage.
Okay. I leave that to the GM Fiat because I'm not sure.
So only damage, failed attacks that scatter. I don't.
It would be
I don't know the
pretty
answer.
cheap to get crits on everybody. I would also be very excited by it, but
Yeah. I mean, Splash X says suffers end damage. So I don't know if this is correct, but you're gonna kill at least one of them. So I can tell you that. I'll go ahead and
what I would suggest if we want to go with just critting on one, if it's just endurance for the cleave and then the crit, I think he would put the endurance into the cat who's already burning pretty terribly, and then put the crit into the Legion lady.
I think that makes a ton of sense. Okay, so what's the endurance damage that the burning guy's taken?
He would take 5, it looks like.
Okay. He is literally like almost on the ground, fire consuming him. I can tell you he will not survive when his turn ticks over, as he is so low right now, and he's taking so much fire from Itzel, and he's freaking out from fire. He's screaming for help at this point. Okay, so let's string math. Okay, and then to her, you're doing the crit, and so how much crit damage we talking?
My normal crit damage is 4, and then if I do the boost, it goes up to 5.
Okay, so 5. She has armor. Double checking. Where is it? Okay. So yeah, she does have armor. Okay, so she will not take all of that, but she will take some. Okay. So you come up and you swing around. You slash through, like the arm of this burning man nearly falls off from your slash. And as you turn and continue to arc right into her, she tries to get the buckler up, but can't. Only manages to slightly deflect it, and then the blade just sinks down into her side, and you hear her as you are certain you got some of that damage. Some of that damage went through. And then what endurance damage would she take?
Her endurance damage is 5.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You hit her really, really good. She's still standing, and she definitely looks to be like the tougher of the two opponents. And the other one you're pretty sure is dead. Like you're like, he doesn't know it, but he is. You have a second action too, I think.
I do. I think it would be fun to do. So for momentum, do you start at 0 and build up through the fight, and you just have
you start at 0,
momentum?
but the different actions allow you. There's 2 actions that allow you to build momentum.
Your max
So
is 4.
If you do sure shot, do you get the momentum then, or you just have it for later? So
you can spend it. You can spend it on the turn that you get it.
Okay,
because I think
then, what I would love
to get
to
the
do,
effects in any order as well.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then I feel like doing sure shot to get a momentum, and then getting the bonus to hit seems like a good idea.
Okay.
So I'll get a momentum, I'll
Right.
have a total of +7. Okay, so let me roll that
Okay.
out for you. So it'll be 4 dice with a +7, because I really want to kill her before she gets to go.
That's fair. Don't think you will, but that's fair.
I know, I get it. That's
The
okay.
desire.
Holy crap, with the
desire makes
sixes,
sense.
dude. Yeah.
Wow.
2 more.
Oh my gosh.
22.
And your cleave's going to trigger and it's going to kill the other guy. Like it's going to, like it easily kills him. And he's like, no, stop. And then
He brings the
collapses.
sword back, stabs him through the belly, and then does an overhead chop while the cat's on the sword still.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Numbers. The numbers are the same for the critical damage,
Yeah.
I assume. Okay. All right. Yeah. She is surprised, honestly. Like you've caught her off guard and she's fighting defensively, and she certainly doesn't look like the type of person who would be defensive, but nonetheless, she is still up. What's the endurance damage for me?
Another 5.
All right,
Basically,
so
5
same
crit,
deal,
5
same deal.
endurance.
Okay. You have gotten a couple swings on her and she is stumbling. She's still standing, and somehow she's still standing. Anyone else, guys, would have gone down from those swings, but it's another Legion. So of course this person's still standing.
Hot Legion action.
Absolutely.
She's tough. She's tough.
She is.
Salma.
That's why I went all in.
Dude, it's great. And she took all of it. She took all of that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, she has armor, so she's mitigating. And
Yep.
she has resistance too, actually. Wait a second.
I'm aware of the cheapness of her game because I play it too.
Salma, you are up. You have one of these rushed down from the tree, swung at you. You saw the tree then catch on fire, so it was probably a good thing that you did that. And you see Gaius locked in a battle, a brutal battle next to the stream with this other Legion. Esther seems to be fine, and Easel is just kind of hanging around behind Gaius, throwing knives out here and there. What are you doing?
There's this one right in front of me.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna first do a take aim, which is the +2 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna do a short shot
I love
for
it.
the attack, hit plus ref, and the 1 momentum. So hit plus ref.
Okay, so So wait 1 second. You took take aim, right? What are the 2 options that you're taking from take aim? What are the effects?
The 2 that I'm sorry, I have multiple sheets open.
Yeah, I know.
I'm taking the +2 to hit
Okay,
and the 2 endurance damage.
got it. Okay, so you'll do +2. Yeah, so you have +2 on your roll from what you normally roll, and then
Yeah, and
Sure.
I have a +4 on my dagger,
Mhm.
but I also get the plus ref from the short shot.
Okay, so that all that adds together. So 4 + 2
Yeah.
is 6 plus your reflexes, whatever that is.
3.
So you've
Yeah,
got
thank
a
you.
+9. So roll your dice and add 9 to it.
Yeah. So I rolled a 13 plus 9 is 22.
That is definitely a hit. Do you have any 6s in that?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I am attacking with my dagger, which has a no draw element to it, so I didn't have to like use a prep action or anything to get out.
Fair enough. Okay. What's the damage?
The damage is sorry, give me half a second. to-
While you're doing that, I'm going to say that you rolled so high, unexpected consequence. I'm going to double your endurance damage bonus from this. So you're going to get +4 as opposed to +2, as this is like you're just swinging fast.
Holy shit!
So,
That's awesome. Yeah, my endurance on this is 7 on the dagger, so plus
Plus
4
4
is 11.
is 11 points. Okay, so 11 points of damage. And I like, if you're cool with this, it's just like the quickness of moving it and strike. And they keep trying to get this shield up to block your strikes, but you're constantly getting it underneath. Okay.
That's awesome.
You just put him like 10 cuts into him. And he looks like he's ready to fall. Okay. And so those are your 2 actions. You're good to go.
Yep, that's my turn. Thank you.
My turn. Okay. This is the only time she's going to get to go. She has a name and everything. I could run, but I'm just going to swing instead because that's more fun in this case.
It.
So
Legion on Legion.
Okay.
Any other moments, Alma will be asking for her number.
Okay. I think. Man, I'm just going to do 2 swings. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just 2 swings. I'm going to do 2 sure shots. First sure shot. I attack with a drawn weapon, hit plus my reflexes, and I get a momentum. Momentum works a little differently for NPCs because we have a universal pool that I can pull from. Okay. And I'll use 1 because she's probably not going to survive.
You should.
Okay.
I deserve it.
You're not the only one who could roll 2 6s on an attack.
I love it.
15, 16 plus my reflexes. So plus reflexes puts me at that's an 18 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Okay. I will. Do you have 0 endurance? Never mind. I have an ability if you have 0 endurance. It's fine. Okay. I am going to spend one of my strong hits to trigger a crit, and my second one to do crit boost to increase my crit damage by 1. I am going to do 5 crit damage to you.
That means I actually take 1. I have 4 armor, so that means I do take 1.
So I'm glad I did that. So it bypasses 1. Okay, so in this game, unless a specific effect tells you otherwise, you roll this randomly in terms of like which. So I have our little thing there. I think you saw it, right? The what's it called? The
macro. He rolled it.
Macro. Thank you. And what did you end up with? Sorry.
Reflexes.
Okay, so she swings down and like maybe catches you at a tendon or something like that. And so your arm maybe goes a little numb, like as you're trying to reel back again with the sword. Your hands or your fingers feel a little numb, and so maybe not as quick. Second attack. All right, I'm using her. I'm just going to use her momentum. That's it. Okay. All right. Damn it. I'm going to use. It's definitely a hit. It's just I didn't get a second 6. I'm going to use her 1 grit reroll. So I want to try to get 2 6s. No, I didn't. It's a 20 to hit, though. I rolled really well. I just only got 1. I only got 1 6, though. That's the problem. So the critical damage I do to you is 4, which you block all of it. So I dealt no critical damage to you. Oh, by the way, you would have taken endurance damage from her as well.
Okay.
You would have taken... Last hit would have been 6 endurance. Nope, that's not correct. I'm sorry. It would be 10 endurance.
Is my sword damage calculated wrong?
See, I'm in that one of those situations like Melissa was talking about earlier in terms of, I think it's just 6. Yeah, just take 6. And then the second one comes through and you take another 6.
Okay.
All right. And that is her turn.
Oh my.
And then
awesome.
I've got one right in front of Salma who is going to also take a sure shot. As long as the big lady's here, he's still here.
That makes sense.
And unfortunately I don't have any momentum to spend. So here we go. That's a shitty roll. That's going to be a miss. That is going to be a 10 to hit.
I only have 13, but that's a
dodge out of the way.
You best way you do.
Swing. Okay, and so yeah, they miss. We go back to the top of the round. Easel, you're on the ground in front of you. Is this burnt, crisp corpse? You also see that Esther did the same thing.
Yeah, you didn't give him burn damage.
I did. He just burnt further. He's now ashes. Okay.
I wanted to hear you say he burns more.
Okay, he burns more. All right, he's smoldering. His smoldering corpse. All right,
so first action, we're gonna test this out. I want to just do a plain old sure shot on the big lady. I have throwing knives, so ideal range is 1 through 5. So instead of slashing, I'm just gonna use my tail in both hands to just start whipping knives at her.
I like it.
So I'm also gonna burn my momentum for an extra die. So I'm rolling 5. And I believe with my reflexes, sorry, 1 second. I get another 4 on this. Right? Because sure shot gives me yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm plus 6. Sorry, doing math.
Nice.
No 6s.
Oh no.
I'll burn another grit because that's a lot of dice. I want to.
Okay.
I want a 6 on this.
All right. What are we up to? Oh, no
Even
6.
worse.
No 6. What's the total?
All right. 17.
17 is still a hit. Absolutely. It's not 4 over though, so no unexpected consequence for you.
Yeah. So
You're
it's
not
just
good.
going to be
terrible at
my
this.
regular endurance of 3.
All right. Which she does resist a little bit of that, but you can see you get a couple slashes in, like one of your knives is sticking out of her shoulder. But she does have a little resistance there to it. Absolutely.
All right. So that kind of changes what I was going to do with my second action then, which is why I did sure shot first. I'll do another sure shot.
Okay.
And I'm going to burn the momentum that I earned earlier as well. So this time I'm going to have 76.
All right. Okay. See if any of those are an actual 6. One of them.
1 6. Not going to
mine's-
burn grit. 26 to hit though.
Hang on. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. And I will, let's try, we'll do a critical hit. I've never done a critical hit before.
Critical hits are fun.
They are good.
All right. So what's your weapon's critical damage? What does it say?
Oh, yeah. Critical damage is 3.
Okay. So you throw one of these and it looks like it's heading right for her face. And at the last second, she reaches up with her battle axe and swipes it out of the air before it lands. And you see your knife go flying up into the air. Her armor effectively mitigates that critical damage. And one of the suggestions in character creation is to make sure someone in your party can always do like 4 critical damage, essentially, because 3 armor is a very common number. And I think there's one or two
now
of
you
who have that.
Okay, I learned my lesson. I won't do critical hits
Sent you the
anymore.
material 3 weeks ago. Could have read it. Could have read it then.
You
3
can't
weeks.
read. Be nice. Come on.
You're right. You're right. That's fair.
Thank you, Jeremy. I need someone to stick up for me.
Okay.
That's how standing up for you.
What was your endurance damage? You still do endurance damage. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, 3.
Okay. Hey, you're whittling her down with that. You're tiring her. She's constantly having to take her attention off Gaius to swat some of these away and dodge out of the way. Absolutely. Then we've got Esther. You set a tree on fire. Now what?
I did set a tree on fire. So which of, well, yeah, I'm gonna go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I appear to be about 8 spaces away from the one that Selma is in combat with.
That's about right, yeah.
So I'm still within my ideal range, which is 5 to 15.
Okay.
So I'm just firing up this orb again.
All right. And you're going to AoE, you're going to blow up Salma while you're at it? Just
No,
set her on
no.
fire. Looks like to me.
I already
So-
know the other roommate
I think-
of Rios.
Your fireball is also cleave, isn't it? Which is like selective.
Exactly. Yeah. So cleave means that.
So you're
It
going to
wouldn't, yeah.
select Salma? Wow. What's the story
I
there?
suppose I could.
Jeez. Wow.
I suppose I could. Okay, so to kind of play this out for prep, I'm going to select 2. So just for fun, I'll just move 1, and then I will gain a momentum. And then, oh no, sorry, I wanted to be fun. Sorry, I was doing that the wrong way. I want to take aim. So that's selecting +2 to hit and +2 to endurance damage. And then, because I want to be cool with this, I'm going to try quick shot, which is move and attack.
All right.
So
Go for
she's just going to like jump over all of this like kitchen stuff that was going on and just fireball like on the move is what she's
Should
going
have
to do.
like kicked the
Hell
cauldron
yes.
up into the air, all of that nasty, like mildewy, rotten vegetables, and you just
Ugh.
fire the orb, and so it carries that with it. Or you use like the gas that's expended from the to sort of light it on fire.
If I didn't think I would then spray all of that on Selma on the other side of this person.
Or you get like a little bit of the oil on you, and then your hair catches on fire or something. And you're like, God, again. Okay.
All right.
How'd you do?
So that's it. So I've got 3d6, and the modifier this time is my +4, and then the +2 from the take aim. So that's going to be a 6, and I'm going to roll fairly poorly, and that's going to be a 15.
That's still enough. That's enough. Yeah. 15 is a hit.
And so then endurance damage is normally 7, but I've got +2 for the take aim, so that's going to be a 9.
All right. They didn't see it coming, and they suddenly whoosh, like the back of their clothes. You can see they have some kind of tattered like half cloak behind them that catches on fire, and they're swirling around, but still trying to like parry Salma's quick strikes. And like as they turn around to bat out the fire, like Salma gets a few more in, and they like go down to a knee, but get back up a second. You can see they're barely hanging on. All right. So you said, is that both your actions?
Yes, I did a take aim and a quick shot.
Excellent. Gaius, can you finish her off?
I would really like to. So, I think I'm just going to go with a sure shot again.
It's the way to do it.
Which now my reflexes is down by 1, so I'm only going to get a +1 from that. But I'll spend my momentum on the attack.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a little bit of a bonus to hit, and we'll see how it goes.
I see a 6.
I see a 6. So it'd be only 4 critical damage and 5 endurance damage.
4 will still bypass some of that. One point of that will bypass her armor. She does have 3 armor. And then how much endurance? I'm sorry, say it again.
It does 5 on the endurance.
Okay. All right. So like you swing down with this huge sword, and she like kind of slides down a bit, trying to get underneath it, and gets the buckler up at the last second to keep her hair and her head from getting cut off. But as your sword continues through, it slashes like across like her arm a bit and like nicks a bit of her elbow. And that's where a little bit of the critical damage comes through. Second action, man.
Second verse, same as the first.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to keep doing this nonsense.
Okay.
I mean, you don't look as cool as Esther did with like a quick shot movement attack.
Not all of us can look as cool as Esther. I get it.
Right.
So another 5 endurance and 4 crit.
Okay. She stands back up. You can see blood gushing from her arm now. You swing down. You do this overhand tomahawk, and she puts it back up. But as she does, you just push her down into the ground. And right as it looks like you think she's about to give up, she and stands back up with this like last tiny surge of energy. But you can tell when someone's defeated, and she very much seems that way, but is nonetheless still standing with very little health left. Okay. It is Salma's turn.
Just nods his head approvingly.
Yeah. She's like raging. She's like, you can see like saliva pouring from her mouth, blood on her eyes. Like you've cut her 1,000 different ways. But she got a few licks in as well. So it's Salma's turn. You got this one in front of you.
I'm going to keep attacking this dude in front of me.
Absolutely.
And I will do the same as before. Take aim, which is my +2 hit, +2 endurance. And then my short shot, which is attack, hit plus reflexes and 1 momentum.
Okay.
Remind me how I can use momentum on an attack.
It's a plus 1d6 on your hit roll. Get at it. Add an
Okay.
extra die to hit.
Okay, I will use that later. All right, now. Okay. So, same bonus as before. My plus. I rolled a 15 this time with 1 6.
15 is a hit. 6 will crit.
15 plus 9.
So 24. Okay, that's a different number. That also hits. Yes. Okay. Give me. So what's your critical damage on your weapon? Start there.
Critical on my weapon is. Sorry, Beth.
It's all right. It's all good.
Critical on my weapon is 3.
Okay. So you can see as you come in with the dagger for the kill shot, he does manage to parry it away at the last second. But in doing so, he exerts the last bit of energy he has, and it allows you to come back around and stab him a couple quick times in the back, and he falls. So you didn't get to crit damages, but you did enough endurance damage to bring him and these types of mobs effectively die at 0. And so he falls down. You can see he just sort of splays out in front of you, and he has fallen as well. Looking down, Salma, back from where you came, you can see that there are others, but they were like looking for a way to climb up, and then they see as you kill this guy, his body like falls and slumps down the ridge. You can definitely tell they're looking at each other, questioning whether they want to join the fray or book it. And like they're looking southward.
Does turn and has her crossbow out that she had drawn before, if that helps them make a decision one or another.
You don't have your crossbow out because you have a dagger out.
Oh no, that's right. I've been using the dagger. That's right.
Yeah. So do you have a second action? If you have a second action, you could do a prep action, which would allow you to draw.
No, I had drawn the crossbow before, but then I used the dagger. So.
Okay.
But you still look menacingly in their direction.
I do.
Okay.
Covered in the blood of their comrade.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. You want some of this?
Okay. I feel like at this point, you've killed a couple of them. The leader seems to be on the verge of collapse. She looks over her shoulder. She sees the tree on fire. She sees the burnt corpse underneath it. She sees the smoldering corpse a few feet away that Isel just wrecked. She sees another one fall. She sees this tall legion swinging away with this massive greatsword. And she's going to flee. So I am going to reposition. And she's going to try to run. She's going to basically go back the way she came. And so her mobility +2 would get her across effectively. And then her second reposition, you can see that she seems to be... Yeah, she's like fleeing like westward a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And so she's running away. Similarly, Salma, when you look down, you kind of switch out, we'll say flavor-wise, like you throw the dagger down and it stabs down into the dirt. You pull the crossbow off your back, and they start to flee as well. Mechanically, I can only move one of them, but they both made the decision collectively to flee. So they start to run. His mobility. Oh man, they got a lot of mobility actually. So you see them running. 4. Yeah, he's got a ton. Okay. All right. That is their turn. Isel, it is your turn now. You can see 3 bodies in front of you at the feet of at your own feet, at Salma's feet, at Esther's feet as well. The tree on fire, this legion woman running far to the west. You can hear maybe Salma shouting like some intimidating words that suggest like, yeah, you better run away or something like that. And so you know the battle is won and people are fleeing. It's just a question of what you want to do with that, Isel. Do you want to let them flee? Do you want to chase? What do you think?
Yeah, I would like to do what I wanted to do last round, but I didn't do so good on my first attack. I'd like to call out and yell, anyone who throws down their arms will have their crimes forgiven, and anyone who stays to assist may find coin in their pocket.
Okay. So are you taking a prep
Interesting.
action and you want to do a skill roll? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, if that's all right. I want to try and convince them to help if I can.
Okay.
Perhaps with wealth.
With wealth?
I'm
Ooh.
offering coin. I'll take persuasion if that's better.
No, you are offering coin. That's true. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that
That's
makes sense. And I'll say because like you literally, or here's what I'll say, like you could roll persuasion, and then because one of the other things GMs can do is they can give you bonuses based upon how you're flavoring your thing. So I guess you could roll your persuasion and then take an additional +1 on top of that, because you're talking
Okay, I'm
about
fine with that.
bribing them as well.
So my persuasion is 2. +1 on top of that makes it 3, and I get an additional +1 because I'm wearing a fashionable outfit for persuasion. That's one of my gear items.
It's so important in these types
That
of
bumps it up to
situations.
4.
Totally important in this situation.
I mean, it does look like you
Completely
have
take
coin to
away.
give.
So good. That's fair. Yeah, you look the part.
I think I had a very similar bonus in Pride of Earth.
So that's a 13 total, 612. Can I spend that 6 to reroll the 1?
Yes, exactly. I was just going to say that because I'm going to put the difficulty
Nice.
at 14 on this one.
Of course.
on
Of
another-
Do you
course.
have any grit rerolls?
I do have one. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
All right.
It's all dice with grit, right?
All dice, yes.
15. So it's higher, but no 6s.
It's higher, but no. Okay, so it's still going to be a success. Okay. I will say that the ones to the south that Salma sees, who have no sight of their leader and no idea of no real sight of you, and haven't been harmed yet, and have a shit ton of speed, they're going to run. And they're just going to keep running.
They
You
didn't
can
see the
them start.
light.
They're starting to climb down the side of a ridge. You can see them disappear over the side, Salma. There's all these mechanisms for shifting and moving some of the lumber. Like you can see ropes and pulleys that they're kind of climbing down. And you can see they're just straight up booking it. The Legion, however, is like running. And then you can see as they're running, they kind of fall and stumble because Gaius beat the living shit out of her, right? And she's bleeding everywhere. And she's like, she gets up and goes to try to continue running. And as you call this out, she turns around. Have you healed? Have you healed? And takes her big old battle axe and just slams it into the ground, pulls the buckler off and throws it off, and then takes her hands and put them behind her head.
And Easel has her 4th henchman.
Nice. Wait.
Okay. Wait. Well, who are the other 3? Who are the other 3?
I was gonna say.
They're all on the screen with us.
All right. We will go ahead and break out of combat order then at this point. And we will go ahead and kind of get back at us. Now, did anyone here take critical damage?
Yeah. I took
Okay,
the one
so-
that
Jeremy did.
One of the things you all should consider doing, and if you took endurance damage regenerates as this goes, except for Gaius, don't forget that you took that initial endurance damage when you got from the crit. That one doesn't regenerate in this case because that like brings it down. The rest of it does. So one of the things you might consider doing, whoever has decent healing, you can, in the 5 minutes following combat, you can attempt first aid. And so it's basically an apothecary, I believe. Yeah, apothecary skill roll on nearby allies to heal them of recently dealt attribute damage. The difficulty is 12, unless you're including yourself in the heal, and then it's effectively 14. And this would allow you to heal 2 attribute damage, but it's only damage that's been done in the last 5 minutes, and it can only be successfully applied once per character. So if anybody who here is like the healer
I
of the group?
would like to. I have healing. I have +2 apothecary, and I have physician, which is healing or heal +1 attribute damage.
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
So it might be. So I roll with apothecary.
Yeah, so
Like, is that
it's an
what I'm doing?
apothecary test. So let's like reset the scene then. Who is going
Okay.
and taking care of, and like the Legion has surrendered. She's put her hands on the back of her head. She's thrown her weapon to one side. She's thrown her sword to the other. So she's clearly giving up. The rest of them seem to have run away or have died. One of the two. So who is like crossing the stream at this point to make sure the Legion is keeping to her word? And then,
Easel.
Okay, so Easel, you begin scrambling across the water. You kind of carefully hop.
Gracefully stepping.
Shouldn't be an issue. You hop. You have that tail to give you balance as you on a log that slightly moves, and then you hop to the other side.
With my heels.
Salma, you rush over to Gaius, pull out some of your tools, and you begin to patch him up. So go ahead and give us that apothecary roll.
That I rolled a 13, so plus 2 is 15.
Okay.
Nice.
So maybe it's the, remember how like some of the damage you took was like the reflexes, right?
Mhm.
And so like some of those, you reach in, some very deep cuts, very important spots where like tendons connect the hand to the wrist or the forearm to the elbow, and you just get in there and stitch and muddle in some herbs and such to try to give the feeling back. Esther, where are you going in all this? Easel's going across. Salma and Gaius are still here as Gaius gets patched up. Where is Esther going?
I would say Esther is checking to make sure that there isn't anyone making a different decision. So, Salma, kind of said that there were 2 others to the south that ran away, but Esther wants to kind of walk the perimeter and make sure that there isn't anyone who's got an ambush plan up their sleeve.
Give me an awareness test as you're doing that, and I'm going to turn back to Easel while you're doing this. Easel, you come up. She is swaying. You can tell. I'll tell you this. She's down to 5 endurance and 1 durability. Durability is like the all-purpose. It's the attribute concept, right, on my end for this type of, the way I'm running it. And so you can see she's kind of swaying and very, very injured. So Easel, do you say anything? Do you do anything? What do you think?
Apologies for the violence, but it seemed that your friends were quite rude. I'm afraid I'm not very good as an apothecary. However, I could brew you some tea until my companion here is able to patch up your wounds. Would you care for some?
She looks up at you, blood pouring down from a wound across her forehead. You can see the little nub of her elbow is the skin's missing and bone is protruding, and her elbow sticking out because she's got her arms behind her head. And she looks up at you, spits, blood comes out, and says, "No, I would not like any tea. This was our claim. We found it, abandoned, no one here. Ours. That's the way of things out here in the wild, and not from the cities where you sophisticated folks seem to dress so much finer than us."
Well, I'm afraid that just because you found it does not make it yours. In fact, we have the paperwork to prove ownership of this site. And it is quite, it's quite unfortunate that you don't wish for some of this tea because it does warm the spirit. And I'll start pouring a cup anyways. We will get you taken care of as soon as possible. Salma, are you... No rush with Gaius, but when you have the chance, we could use you over here.
If I have time, Jeff, that is something I would have liked to have done, but it's first 5 minutes after the fight.
So technically, it's 5 minutes. It's your allies, and so if you're considering her your ally, she could take the +2 as well. Yeah, absolutely. And no extra roll or anything. We just bake it into that roll.
I would love to do that if I might.
She just kind of she's on her knees. Right. She's really in a pose. She thinks she's essentially like been captured. Right. And she just numbly lets you do your thing. So you're like stitching up, you're getting some herbs, you're making a paste and like wrapping some of the open wounds. dabbing some of the blood across her forehead, and she's just looking at you with these dead eyes. But when you're done,
what's your name, dear? Just sit, be comfortable. There's no reason to hold your arms up. I'm sure you're tired after that fight.
Salma, she looks at you because she's kind of unsure about Easel's offer. And so she's kind of like, you can tell in her face, like there's like, is she on the up and up, basically, is kind of like what you're intuiting from her look.
Someone gives her the look of war-torn comrade. And like, I know, and she kind of gives her, like, she rolls her eyes a little but will not say anything. But I think it's clear that she is having feelings, but ultimately thinks he's still harmless.
She takes the arms down and kind of spins around so that she's kind of sitting now on her ass, and she's got like her knees bent in front of her. She's like checking some of the wounds, and she looks up at you, Easel, and she says, Corvena, you can call me Corvena.
Well, it is a pleasure to meet you, Corvena. My name is Easel. This is Salma. You'll meet the others when they come over here. Here, drink. This will make you feel better. Oh, I promise there's no arsenic. I only give that to my husband. Here, and I take a tiny little sip to prove it and then hand it to her.
She like sniffs it.
It's a very tiny cup for her, I'm sure.
It's like she's got this huge hand. You hand it over, and she's
like a shot glass.
Yeah.
She shoots it, despite the fact it's probably hot, and like she makes to throw it, and then she hands it back to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Please rest. We are going to make sure the rest of the camp is secure, and then we will be able to discuss future wages for you if you wish. If not, like I said, your crimes will be forgiven. I understand you thought that this was your property after finding it. Unfortunately, it is not, and well, it does seem that violence broke out. But
the camp, only a fool would settle.
Well, the salvage. I'm sorry,
mountain.
Of course.
We wanted the equipment. It was ours by right, ours by claim, ours by salvage. Your paper means nothing.
And, I am sure we will be able to negotiate a finder's fee for you for keeping this equipment safe and protected while our laborers were gone.
So this place was empty by the time you got here already. It was already empty.
She nods.
No, see, we arrived last night before dawn, before dusk. There's no one here.
Oh, Salma, I was not able to tell you. It appears from some letters that our good friend, the foreman Andai, was sending to the Viscount that there were Neff spawn problems, something about spiders or local inhabitants of the forest. It's likely that they were the issue that caused this camp to be abandoned.
Someone kind of straightens up at that. Neff spawn catching her attention. Was there anything culturally significant for someone being dragon with that term?
Not necessarily. So dragon, like you're not. I mean, someone might call you Neff spawn like in a slur, but like.
Yeah, that's more what I was getting at.
But Drasimar are a specific species. Like you are a specific. It's not like It's not so much like how Nephilim were in Fragged Empire, where it was just like they're all Nephilim, right? Like you are considered a Drasim. You're not considered like necessarily.
Right.
You're considered created by Langorum, the dragon, not created by Neph, which is like a different thing.
Thank you. So she'll kind of narrow her eyes a little when Isla says this and respond to her like, it's not a very nice word.
What was that?
That's what they are. They're the spawn of Neff. You've built on top of the tunnels. The tunnels on top of Grisk. You fools. Come up here and tell me that you have a piece of paper and you don't know the first thing about this mountain, about this place.
On top of tunnels? Well,
The
it
web.
appears that we...
Fool.
The web?
Yes.
I'm afraid I'm at a loss. I've not seen the survey report.
Survey reports. You! She calls out towards like Gaius. How do you serve this creature? This fool?
He's well financed and led into a great deal of trouble. I find worthy opponents in my path.
Your camp on this side of the Bramble Song is built atop of a network of tunnels. The web. There's a nest, a very large one, of spiders spawned by Neff herself. And beneath it, there is, to the north somewhere, there's Grisk, where the trolls slumber as well. This is not a safe place. This is not a place to be making all sorts of noise, cutting down their trees. You think they couldn't hear the thud of every tree that fell?
Well, that is quite unfortunate, but alas, profit must be made. You would happen to know any entrances to these tunnels as a local yourself?
What do you think they got here? They don't need to. They came up from below, you. Over there.
Well, I'm sorry,
The
I don't
cabin.
see any holes right now. The cabin?
You looked. The tent over there as well. There's at least half a dozen in this entire camp. They probably
Well, you'll
came
have
up
to
while
excuse
your
me. We did only
workers were
just-
sleeping.
That is terrible news. You wouldn't happen to know, do they often take captives or hostages? Is there any chance that our laborers may still be alive?
Depends on their mood, I suppose. They are not some mindless monster. They are intelligent. Ruthless, though.
So they can be bargained with.
Did not seem to turn out too well for your workers here.
Why I'm better funded.
They likely don't care about your coin.
Well, coin buys many things that people do care about.
Which of your cities would allow them to wander inside and spend that coin? Oh, that's right.
We're getting
None.
into the logistics now. I, of course, have people who can buy whichever they desire, and then we can haul it out here. We do have wagons. I know that one's overturned, but it looks like it's in fairly good condition. We can repair it. The point is that they are intelligent and they possibly can be reasoned with. And that is good for us.
There's no us. I'm not helping you.
Well, I am well funded.
Told
Are you
what
sure
I
about
know. I have no interest in working for you. You
Do you know what our nest is?
in the mountain itself. Below, somewhere.
Hmm.
Don't go. These people are gone. They had that chance. They could have run. They could have bargained. They could have paid fealty. And they didn't. And now you want to go after them. No. Not for me.
Well, that is understandable. It is your choice to make. Unfortunately, we will not be able to offer you a finder's fee in that case. But as I said, we will not press any charges for the crimes of assault or attempted robbery or looting and pillaging, whatever they may be called around here.
I'm free to go.
You're free to go.
I have friends to bury.
I will not impede you. Neither will any of my allies here. Right?
Reaches out, grabs her shield, slides it back onto her arm, pulls the axe, kind of looks warily at everybody. Like she's not sure this is legit. And she begins walking in the direction of where you've killed 3 of her compatriots. She stops next to you guys, and she kind of looks over towards you. You fought well.
We've shed blood today.
You should come with me. Far greater glory for folks who aren't led by a fool.
Perhaps I should. But I gave my word that I would complete this mission. My word is important to me.
Safe travels.
You as well.
And she goes over and she leans down over some of these charred corpses. And they're the 2 that were burnt are burnt to a crisp. And so she just basically takes some belongings from them. But the one that Salma that you were able to kill, that she'll throw over her shoulder. And you see her begin to trek southward out of the town if you're not stopping her. Esther, how did that awareness test go?
13.
Okay. 13's good. So, all right. You don't notice any signs of any more people. So you're pretty sure at this point there's no one remaining in the camp.
Okay.
What you do see here and there is when you look off to the northeast a bit, you notice that there is it's, if you recall, when they were inspecting the wagon, northeast of that, you can see into the forest. So essentially what they did is they cleared some space, but then they left certain trees here and there. But you can see to the northeast, there's all sorts of trees that are kind of bent and split. And it definitely looks like something very large trekked through there. And then you notice too, as you're kind of looking at the fence here and there, that there is a little that there's basically a section of fence where there's some blood, but also some torn clothing and such. And I would say what probably interests you is that it doesn't look as old. It looks more recent. It doesn't look like it's wet still, but it's not as dried out as everything else. It looks like somebody was more recently here. The everything you were looking at was in the tents in the camp suggested this all happened 3-4 days ago, something like that. But this looks like maybe just a day ago or 2, something like that. So that's what you see. You find again, basically you find that there are 2 sets of tracks. One of them is this big thing that ventured off into the forest, and another one, it looks like someone got away. Basically, someone fled. Okay.
So Esther, seeing that, would, so she missed all of this kind of negotiation as she was kind of making her very thorough, perimeter check around this camp. And so she'll probably come back as this Legion woman is leaving. So she'll just sort of watch her kind of walking away and nod and kind of go up to the rest. Seems we're parting as non-combatants with her.
Yes, she told us that the camp was empty, and maybe the laborers may have been taken. But apparently it is built on some tunnels, and the nest is up at the mountain, in the mountain.
Tunnels. Well, that makes sense because when I had been looking in that tent, I had pulled up some floorboards and I could see that there was actually a hole that went down. So tunnels makes sense.
Well, I was asking about where the nest was, and she said in the mountain. But if you already know a tunnel entrance, maybe we can just use that.
Well, that's an option. I also, as I was just checking the perimeter, noticed up to the northeast there's there's very large prints of something that went running through there, and some rather fresh blood. Actually, it's nowhere near as old as everything else here in the camp. So there's also perhaps a path to follow up the mountain. Someone was there very recently.
I have some slight preference for this, as I have no desire to go climbing through these tunnels. I'm not entirely sure how well I'll fit through them.
I could see that it would be a bit tight for you, but following fresh blood may be an easier track to follow.
I wouldn't mind looking at the entrance to these tunnels. She said that there was one under a cabin and one under a tent. We might as well look down and see how deep it looks, how far it goes before we follow this blood.
It's right here. I can show it to you. And so she'll go to the tent that she had been in with the journal earlier and see right there. And do you notice here how it looks like something came up from here because there was a damage upwards and outwards of the door. So it does seem that something came from here.
Such a shame. It seems that the Viscount was trying to save a few coins with his choice of surveyors.
Was it, does the tunnel look big enough for Gaius, Jeff?
Yeah. It is the entirety of the floor of the cabin, which is like maybe 5 times the width of Gaius, is quite large. Yeah.
Okay. So, seeing that, someone will say, like, I don't think it'll be an issue for Gaius to fit, and the other advantage with digging the tunnel is that it might be a little bit more direct, and also we're not traveling in the open and can potentially be ambushed.
Of course, an ambush in a tunnel is not favorable to us either.
No, but it is easier to keep an eye out for.
I do wonder about the freshness of blood. Perhaps there is a possibility that some of our laborers are still alive, and one of them might have been wounded on the run. It's a guess, of course, and I cannot say that it's a better choice than going into these tunnels, but if there's a chance of saving a life and avoiding training...
That is the only reason I think we should go after the nest at all. Because potentially there might be some laborers to save.
I think perhaps if we follow the blood, then we would be fighting a little bit more on our terms, where the tunnels seem like that would be fighting on their terms, whoever they may be. So I think my vote is following the blood.
The tunnel is not going anywhere. We can always come back and find a way in later.
And we also know that it does come back here. So if we need to run through the tunnels to find an exit, we can run in this direction, and we know it'll come up in a cabin.
Yes, no one's ever been lost in a tunnel before.
So there's maybe more than one tunnel.
Well, follow our nose to that sour smell.
Okay. So you all try to track this more recent trail. Again, it's just a suggestion. Someone might have been here and gone within the past 24 hours or so, and not part of the group that you just attacked. So what we'll do is everyone's going to give me a skill check to describe what they're doing to try, like, as they traverse what is ultimately going to be very difficult, bramble-filled, heavy vegetation terrain. One person needs to do at least one person needs to do like a pathfinding, I would think, to track it. But then there's also things like forestry. If somebody is more familiar, someone could roll that. Someone could roll an awareness if you're keeping a lookout for danger, right? If you wanted to just roll like physical as well, is a perfectly fine one because you're kind of hiking, up a difficult mountain with all these brambles. So there's lots of options here, so you can kind of just pitch which skill you're rolling and kind of flavor how that is. And this is sort of like to traverse you guys to get from point A to point B, and we'll see how you do. So does anybody want? Go ahead.
All bad at pathfinding.
I think so too.
Okay.
How do you feel about monsters for looking up like a trail of these spider tracks?
I would say if you were in the tunnels and you were traversing the tunnels, which is
Fair enough.
that I might do,
Fair
but
enough.
not you're on the since you're on
Fair
the
enough.
mountain. I don't think that makes sense.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, so somebody could do.
Gaius,
Who's going to do the
since-
pathfinding roll? Someone can still roll it. Just because you don't have it, just because you're not good at it, doesn't mean you can't roll it. Like if you have a negative, that's fine. You should still roll it.
What I was going to say, Gaius, since you're -1, would you care to do it and have Easel help you to negate that possibly?
I actually have forestry is what I was potentially going to do. I'm okay at that.
I can do pathfinding because I'm also -1.
Okay.
So Isla, if you want to support.
Yeah, let's do that then if that's okay.
Everyone needs to roll one skill. Like you're not assisting each other. Everyone's like
okay.
essentially everyone's
Got it.
contributing. This sort of think of it like a little quick encounter where everyone's describing one thing they're doing and then rolling that check.
So it sounds like Gaius is definitely doing forestry.
Okay. Guys, give me that forestry. This is really just kind of your knowledge of forests as opposed to trying to track this particular trail. It's more just basic knowledge of like what plants to avoid, what not to step on, that kind of thing.
12.
Okay, 12. 12 will be a success. And so kind of like how I described it, it's not like this doesn't necessarily help you track try to find the trail itself, but what it does help you do is avoid things like small little crevices that are covered over with vegetation, or it might help you don't walk through that bush because that bush is like a poison oak or a poison ivy and it'll rub something on you, or the sounds of a bird or a creature like keep be very quiet. We don't want to be seen by that. And so it's more like your just general knowledge of it that's allowing you to move about. Who is rolling pathfinding?
I can do pathfinding. I have a -1.
All right. Go ahead and give us that
We'll see.
roll. So you're the one who's out in front as best you can trying to track this thing.
Fuck yes. 14 -1, 13.
Okay. Now initially it's not hard to track because initially it's fairly barren in the immediate areas around the camp. But eventually you start to lose it a little bit as you get into the uncleared areas. But a few times you notice a small speck of some kind of cloth caught on a bramble, or you see like a broken thorn, and then you see what looks like a small track here or there, and it takes a little longer than you probably want to, but eventually you do pick it up and you start to see a pattern, and you're helping to navigate this route for everybody. Esther, what are you doing? How are you contributing here?
I was going to do awareness, if that's okay with you, Easel.
Sure.
Okay.
Danger, just looking for general
I'll allow it.
danger, effectively.
All right. I've got a +4 in awareness. So.
Oh, yes. Amazing.
All right. That is a 16.
A 16 is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. A few times, actually, along the way, you actually catch sight of little strands of silk, this like glowing kind of gossamer silk here and there hanging from a bramble. And at one point, you can see like Salma, who is so intently trying to follow the track, nearly slip and fall into what looks like a burrow that goes down into the mountain. And then one of these like spider tunnels, and you see this array of this hardened silkish thread You kind of grab her really quick
Watch
and
your
kind of
foot.
pull her back.
Watch
Oh,
your
that
foot.
definitely happens like a bunch of times.
And it does. Because you find at least a half dozen of these burrows that come up and you can climb down. You just see them all over the mountain at this point. What about Easel?
Could I make an
I'm
argument?
so sorry. Before we move to Stephen, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Does this system have like the same kind of thing as Fragged Empire, where if you roll a certain amount above the target number, you get like unintended consequences?
Yeah, we've
to
done that.
add, like,
We've already done that a couple times.
Yeah.
no, but like out of combat or
Yeah, but she didn't roll
only
4
in
above.
combat?
The difficulty's 14. She rolled a 17.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Easel.
Could I make
Sorry,
an
Stephen.
argument for resolve, since Easel is so far out of her comfort zone physically that she needs to keep the mental dedication to continue moving forward?
So you're not helping us. You're just keeping yourself sane.
I'm not complaining and giving away our position.
I think you can roll it with a -1. Go right ahead.
That's hilarious. I'm not complaining.
To straight
I
zero.
will resolve not to complain.
Because it's,
That's how I'm helping.
you're not positively contributing. You're just neutral. So
I really don't have many skills that would positively contribute in a scenario like this, so I think staying neutral is the best I can do.
fair enough.
Oh, and I rolled a
Crushed roll.
14 with 2 6s.
That is a
16.
success. Okay, excellent.
What?
And you were worried. You would have been fine.
Wow.
All right. You guys did so well that no sharp damage is going to come your way. Sharp damage is essentially attribute damage. All you're going to get is soft damage. So it's just going to be reduction of endurance. It's just to sort of represent just the wear and tear, the scrapes from the brambles, the air getting thinner as you climb a little higher, all those types of things. And so each of you go ahead and reduce your endurance 4. But you do finally, after, and you're doing all this, by the way, in darkness, because it's nighttime. And so it's a little bit more difficult. And eventually you find what looks like a something almost like a tree house, like built up. There's a couple little platforms here and there. And you see hanging down between these floorboards that are like bridging these two bows, you see a tail hanging that looks not unlike Easel's tail. What would you like to do?
So I would say if Esther, and Esther does have her, the orb kind of acts as kind of a light source. So I would say that might help. And so Esther probably would just sort of elbow Easel, and sort of point to the tail and kind of elbow Easel, because Easel is our talky talk person.
And you had the awareness roll, so it makes sense you'd see it first. Pointing it out. Oh, hello up there.
And you see the tail suddenly like move and then suddenly tumbling over and like looking down, knife in their hand. You see a Talatl. You can see a face filled with scars, like recent scrapes, and like a lot of terror in the eyes.
What? Who are you? Who are you? Stay back.
There are 4 of us. We mean you no harm. We are investigating the disappearance of the loggers nearby.
Who sent you?
The Viscount.
Oh, goodness. Yes. Well, quickly, come up, quick. You shouldn't be walking at night. They can sense the tremors. They know you're walking. Quickly, up in the trees. Trees.
Of course. We will ascend immediately, everyone.
And
You all-
very quietly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they all,
Sure.
yeah, you see, you all start to climb up. I'm not gonna make a roll. You guys can just climb up. We already did the endurance stuff. You come up and you can see it's like this small little lookout. It's maybe 20 feet up. And you would imagine at night, it's hard to see a whole lot, but during the day, you would probably have a very large view of things. And you can see he's really, really nervous. And as he does so, he's like,
My name is Tenok. Did the cab?
You managed the night shift.
Yes, I did. Yes. Oh, goodness. You've come to save me. Wonderful. Can we leave? In the morning. We can stay here at night. But we can leave in the morning and return. Yes.
Yes. Are there any other laborers?
They've all been
that have
taken.
survived?
No. They've all been taken.
Oh, taken where?
In the mountain. By the spiders.
Oh, good. So we'll go collect them in the morning, and then we will all head back to the Viscount together.
Your heroes, is that it? There's no... Do you have a bonus in your contract for rescuing the loggers? Is it?
Well, the contract was to get the logging camp back up and running, and that's impossible without workers.
We can find other workers. We can find other camps. We can find other
The
forests.
training expenses are quite high, and if they're already there, they already know what to do.
Yes. Okay, well, I can stay here just in case. I can create a very safe place for us. A point where we can all, come back to us. You four, well, maybe the three of you, the Legion can stay here with me. And you can go mucking about in the tunnels. I'm going to stay here.
Well, we can work out the details in a bit, but first, why don't you tell us more about the situation? What happened?
Oh, well, if you're from the Viscount, I suppose you should know, but we seem to be caught in a bit of a territorial dispute between a faction of Neph spawn spiders, a very vast web, I believe. Very interesting conversationalists they are, and some trolls as well. Very large, very angry trolls. The spiders offered us. They said they wanted meat and artifacts as offering to them to allow us to take some of their trees. Apparently,
What sort of artifacts?
oh, anything of value, something we might find here or there. They weren't too specific. Just something of value to them. Money they had no interest in. Can you imagine? No interest in money. What kind of people are these? Well, the spiders, I suppose. Anyhow, the supervisor, Foreman, and I rejected their offer. They told us that we needed to leave. We did not. And then they came and they took everyone. They came in the night. Fortunately, my team and I, we were still returning. And when we arrived, well, as you might imagine, things were chaos. A few of us got away. Some of us were chased down in the forest itself, but I got away because I'm very capable. I went back. I did. Yesterday in the morning to see if anyone had returned or if the Viscount had sent more people. And that's when I saw the troll who was rampaging and attacking some of my team who had the same idea as I did. I ran, of course. And there, that is the story. All done.
Well, it is important to note that I was correct in the spiders are willing to negotiate. And if they desire meat, well, it is fortunate that there is a source of troll nearby who have quite a bit of meat on them. So perhaps this dispute could resolve itself quite peaceably.
Oh dear. You're quite mad, aren't you? Oh, shh.
And you suddenly hear it's like skittering sounds. And like, I imagine one or two of you might have a lantern out or something, or a torchlight.
Quickly,
The orbs.
And so like you smother the orb a bit, and he gets low and he looks over the side. And any of you who look as well, it's very dark, but there is some light coming down from above. And you can see these spiders begin to pour out. They're like the size of like a mastiff. They just come pouring out, and they begin scattering in all sorts of directions on the mountain. And I think we're going to go ahead and end there, our part 1. And we'll pick up on that in part 2 and see what you guys want to do. If you guys want to flee, part 2 is going to be really short, but we definitely can do that.
I would rather fight
right.
trolls than fight a bunch of mastiff-sized spiders. Oh.
Okay.
I would like to
Neither is
Yuck,
the
yuck.
best
And turn it
option.
into
Yeah.
All right.
Selma has the right of it. Neither, please.
Yeah. Turn around. Go buy a tavern somewhere. It's way better.
Yeah.
Way better. Just buy a tavern. You never ever doing this kind of stuff. So, all right. So that's it for part 1. We got a part 2 to this. We're going to finish this up in the next part. And if you're watching this, remember that Frag Kingdom is coming up on BackerKit. It'll be up on BackerKit on June 3rd. If you check the show notes, the description of this episode, you can actually see a link to that page. You can read all about it. You can see all the goodies that you're going to be getting by backing it, and see if it's something that suits you. But that's what we're going to do. That's all we're going to have for tonight. I don't know what I just said. My mind just didn't work. So that's it for right now. But we will be back in part 2. So hopefully you'll check us out in part 2. You'll check out Frag Kingdom as well. But we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.